Wait for it. We are live. Hey, welcome back. I am David Farkas, and this is Josh Lehrer.
Hey guys.
We've got Jose producing the show.
Hello, guys.
And welcome to another episode of Red Dot Forum's Camera Talk. Today we are going to talk about the Leica CL and kind of the TL, CL...
I think the APS-C, Leica APS-C system.
APS-C universe of all the different things, because there is a lot to talk about. I think the CL happens to be, this is actually my personal camera. That's why it's a little beat up. If you've been watching, you may know that sometimes I drop things.
Sometimes, always.
But this is still working great. And so I've been shooting with the CL for about 2 years now.
A little more than that, I feel like. Yeah, 2.5.
2.5 years. And it's my personal knock-around family camera. And it's sort of my go-to, just grab it. I've got it at home, sitting on my desk. I take it, gonna take my daughter somewhere and with her friends, I shoot it. Or go on a little trip or whatever. So
I
it's
think
a great little camera.
The CL, and one of the reasons it's pretty much its own show, is probably one of the less or the more misunderstood of what Leica offers right now.
Sure.
I think we've been spoiled by these amazing...
Well, everybody tends to favor...
Right, or the SL.
Everyone thinks of Leica, they think of the M.
But
or
the funny
Q,
thing is that, what do we grab when we're going to travel most of the time and shoot casually is the CL. So here we are, like, doing these shows and talking about these incredible tools that we love. But a lot of the times when we're going to go out, I'm like, all right, CL 3514, I'm good. Yeah, so hopefully by the end of this episode or whatever this is, you'll understand why we gravitate towards the CL
and maybe get a deeper appreciation like we have of this small but mighty camera.
I agree.
So
a little background maybe on APS-C from Leica?
For sure.
Yeah.
So Leica started out in APS-C in 2009, right?
Yeah.
2009, they introduced the Leica X1, and it was the world's first, yes, you can check this, the world's first APS-C sensor size, so that's a 1.5 crop factor.
Yes.
And it was very common at the time. Nikon and Canon cameras were using a 1.5, or Canon was using 1.6 crop. Kind of, Nikon calls it DX. Canon calls it
EFS, I think.
EFS or something like that.
I don't know. What do I know?
And those were DSLRs. So what Leica did is they actually took. Now this is not an X1. This is an X2.
We'll talk about this later, though.
We'll talk about that later.
Looks cool.
But this size. Yeah. Okay. And they managed to put a DSLR sensor into a camera the size of a point and shoot, and they paired it with an amazingly good. And I think we can probably get a closer look at that.
Yeah, this was actually, David, if I recall, a modification of the Elmart M2828.
Yep.
I'm quite sure. So this was actually an Leica M system lens design that was reconfigured for this. We'll call it a point and shoot, but this is the X2. This is a special version, which we'll cover later.
It's a very fancy point and shoot.
But the point being is, this system started in 2009.
Right.
So 11 years ago now, which is crazy to think about that.
This came out, this is the X2. This came out in its stock form in 2012.
Yes. Yeah, 2012.
So it improved by raising, the original one was 12 megapixel, which again, was really common.
Yeah. And made in Germany, by the way. This X system.
Yes.
All made in Germany. This isn't outsourced or anything like that.
But if you think back to those times, the Nikon D300 was very popular, and that was a 12 megapixel APS-C size sensor. Yeah. So imagine at the time how revolutionary it was, 11 years ago, to put this hugely popular Nikon D300-ish sensor into a pocket camera with an amazing Leica lens. Yeah. So that was the theory. Yeah. And they've since developed it. It grew a little larger.
That's the X113.
This is the X113.
Always even with the X1, mechanical dials for aperture and shutter speed. So still staying true to Leica's sort of design ethos that they're known for.
There you go. Yeah,
that looks good. Yeah, nice. This is the X130. This is the third iteration.
Yeah, after the X2.
Of the X camera. So
bigger lens.
Yeah, and these cameras still have a bit of a cult following today. They are unique. There's not a lot of made in Germany point and shoot cameras out there. So
yeah, and it is very light. I think
it feels good though.
Yeah,
I like the way it feels.
It's solid.
We should have an X Vario here. We don't. I miss it. So Yeah, this is really where they started, and that led us to...
Well, kind of like this.
Kind of, yeah, well, it's got a case on it.
Kind of this.
Yeah.
I am going to just pop the case off here.
You're not going to... This is screwed.
Oh, it's screwed in.
Grab the black one.
I'm going to grab the black
There you go.
Okay.
There we go. I made it difficult, I know.
Okay, so this is the Leica TL2, but it is pretty much identical in terms of the body size to the original T701. And the unique feature of this camera was, and is, because the TL2 is a current Leica camera.
Yes.
The unique thing is basically that it's this entirely touchscreen interface. And there we go. And everything operates on a touch interface. So you can see you just tap the menu, and you can select different things, and either use the dial.
Nope, we lost you.
I lost me because my shirt, very high contrast.
That's right, your shirt is too high contrast. There we go, nice.
Okay, and you can see I can either use the dial, or, because it's touchscreen, you can just use your finger. If I could grab it,
You're doing a bad job.
I am doing a horrible job right now.
I promise you your finger works.
The finger works great, it's just right now so I'm not exactly on it.
You're probably in full auto mode, that's why it's doing that.
Yeah, or you can actually lock the screen, but.
So the TL2,
I got it.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
It's hard to do a little bit reverse. The TL2 and the CL.
It's okay.
We'll cover this more later, but they do share the same sensor.
Yep, and I'll show you that right there.
There we go.
Okay, so that is the APS sensor.
Yeah.
And on the TL2, they upped it from the previous generation T, which was 16 megapixel.
Yeah, I think it was the same sensor from the X113 in the original T. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so the X113 and the X Vario and the original T basically shared the same sensor.
Yeah, the 16 meg sensor.
Yeah, and then they put, with the TL2, they upped that to 24 megapixel.
Yeah.
Which you're looking here, and then that made its way into the CL.
Ooh, nice, super sharp.
Super duper sharp, there we go. The CL, and the difference between the CL, and I'm gonna just take the lens off so you can see. The difference between the CL and the TL, you know, they're pretty functionally very similar sizes. But the interface is different, right? So instead of this unibody aluminum construction, which incidentally they actually used going to make the SL, this one has more of a classic design. You can see it's got the
blurry buttons.
It's got the blurry buttons. I should wear a totally different shirt. Okay.
Yeah. Now we know.
So we've got the more classic buttons. We've got the built-in EVF. So the T did not use a built-in EVF. You had to use the Visiflex in the hot shoe if you didn't want to use the
This is the same Visiflex that works on the M10. It actually worked on the X113 as well.
Correct. Yep.
Those three models share that. So again, the CL and the TL2 have the same 24 megapixel sensor. So that's I want to just get that off the top. Take the same lenses, same mount, same sensor. What's different is the hardware. It's the interface. It's the way you interact with the camera and use the camera. So
yeah, for sure.
David and I think, gravitate towards the CL only because we like buttons. We also do shoot a lot with the viewfinder, so it makes sense to use a camera that has an integrated finder. Yeah. The TL, though, is a great camera for people that want that familiar touchscreen icon-based interface, that like sort of interacting with the camera more, because it's a phone-like experience.
Yeah.
It also feels amazing in your hand. It's milled from a solid block of aluminum. I should have brought the block.
You should have brought the block.
I didn't bring it. I have one.
It's very specific. 1.2 kilogram block of Italian aluminum.
It's insane. So anyway, so you've got two options right now in the APS-C system for Leica, is the CL or the TL2. So I think that covers pretty well where
we're at, right? So that's the short version of how we got here.
Yeah.
After 11 years, and Leica just has kept at it, refining it based on user feedback. Yeah. And now we've got these really great system cameras because ultimately, you know, these were popular and offered really great quality. But the question always was, well, what about interchangeable lenses?
That's right. I want to change lenses. I want to use my M lenses. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's like, okay, well, you asked and you received. And now it's been 6 years since the original T. It was 2014.
Wow.
So they've been polishing the system for 6 years.
That's right.
Actually, it was like April 20-something. I think we're almost 6 years to the day, pretty close to the original T. So, yeah, I think for us, it's that combination of interchangeable lenses with familiar functionality without a lot of sacrifice in image quality that has us gravitating. And we're going to talk about all that a lot more.
But this is just kind of a
we're kind of giving you an overview. There's so much to talk about, as there always is, especially with the two of us. So.
And I know that people are, more people have certainly joined since we started. So I'm just gonna, say again, welcome if you're just joining us, or hi still if you're still with us. I'm David, and this is Josh, and we've got Jose producing, and you're watching Red Dot Forum's Camera Talk discussion on the Leica CL, TL2, and the APS system in general.
All right.
I also do want to point out, as always, I have dropped a whole bunch of links, useful links, into the description below. So we've got all the videos and articles and everything that we've done on Red Dot Forum. There's full reviews of the CL, full reviews of the original T, although I don't know if it's in the description, but I might add that. Travel logs of using it.
Right, you don't have to take our word for it. You can look at these reviews and these articles.
Yeah, just scroll down.
Yeah, and see the images that are there, and
And I've also included Lightroom presets, developed presets for the CL and the TL2, and you can use those. So I think that kind of covers it.
And that lives in the description of this video. So whether you look at it now or once it's posted permanently on our channel, you'll be able to see all those links there for all the relevant CL content. Also, of course, like I just said, this will live on our channel. Please subscribe if you have the chance.
We have a link to that as well.
We do. We have, we do this every week, and David is constantly producing new content, new videos that live on the page, whether it's reviews or features about particular pieces of gear. So,
So be sure to subscribe.
Yes, we appreciate it.
And click notifications so you know when we're going live again.
Yes.
And if you want to see something or us to talk about something, please leave us a comment. We are really interested in what you guys have to say. I think we're going to be doing...
Don't make any promises you can't keep now. We know everybody wants monochrome, so I promise you we will do it, but we're going to do it right. So it may be next week, it may be the week after, I don't know.
But we have a surprise to go along with it.
It's going to be awesome,
I
promise.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we're doing something that we're both super excited about. So I think we can probably dive into some questions. We have a lot of great questions we had solicited ahead of time. Of course, Jose is going to be watching out for questions as they come in. So keep them coming. Yeah. We will do our best to get to everything. So I say, let's get started.
Let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right. Awesome. So I think a good question to start with is, will I see a difference going from a full frame sensor to an APS-C sensor?
You want to take that, Josh?
I think we can probably both take that. The shorter answer is maybe, maybe not. There's obviously I don't want to call it a misconception, but definitely the traditional thinking is the smaller the sensor, the worse the image quality. I mean, that is technically true in an objective scenario.
I think it sounds better to say the larger the sensor, the better the image quality.
I was going to say
I certainly
would half full kind of guy like that,
Yeah, half full. Gotta be half full.
So I think I understand that. There's a certain point when you get to a certain level of quality and engineering combined with your requirements of the hardware of the camera, that line kind of blurs a little bit of the quality difference between full frame and a crop sensor or APS-C sensor, especially as we go generationally, where, okay, maybe the cutting edge current full frame and the cutting edge current APS-C, maybe there's scenarios where a full frame has an edge. You go back one generation, suddenly APS-C has an edge, and suddenly that sensor size argument doesn't hold water because it doesn't work. So there's a lot of factors that go into that.
I think basically it's not, with all of this stuff, with photography, the technology, it's really difficult to kind of distill everything down to absolutes.
Yes.
I know this is going to be super punny.
Oh no.
But I got to say it. It's not black and white.
It's not.
It's not. We have a lot of shades of gray in the middle.
Yeah, that's true.
And what you have to realize, people are really surprised. Because I shoot with all these cameras. If you look back at our previous episodes, we've covered the M10 and the M system twice. Yeah. We did the
SL
and
the SL2.
And the SL2. We did the Q2 and the Q.
Yeah.
And these are really, really high-end cameras. We're talking about, pretty top image quality.
Yeah, yeah.
And I shoot with all those cameras. I love shooting with those cameras. But people are really surprised when they're like, well, what camera did you take on X, Y, or Z trip with your family? I'm like, this.
CL.
It's like, oh, but it's APS.
That's right. How
dare you?
How dare you? Don't you know who you are?
Oh my gosh. You know, it's like,
yeah.
They're really surprised.
But I understand that surprise though, you know, because, you know, as someone who came from the classically trained, blah, 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 whatever, you're trained a certain way to think, okay, I have to have the biggest piece of film, the biggest sensor, the biggest lens.
Sure, yeah.
And sometimes you get so caught up in that you forget to take a wider look at what's available and what the output of these tools are.
Right.
And you realize, well, wait a minute. I can do things with the CL or the TL2 that I can't do with the SL or the SL2 or the M10. Or there are places I can't take those other cameras that are larger. So there's a lot more to offer than you may realize, again, which is why we're always grabbing. I think my last 3 trips I took the CL with like 2 lenses and I was good. So yeah, I think that there is not always an argument to be made that full frame is always better than APS-C. I think it is.
It can be in some, look.
Sure, it can be.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that a CL is going to match up in image quality to an SL2.
Right, it doesn't.
Like,
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Right.
Like, put that out of your mind.
That's right.
Because you're talking about double the amount of pixels and a much, much larger
I mean,
body.
3 years apart.
Much larger lenses. Yeah. And the SL2 right now represents, you know, the cutting edge of what Leica has to offer in terms of image quality. It's a, you know, flagship professional system.
Yeah.
But if we go back, you know, and talk about, well, how does it compare to a M240 or an M9?
Yeah.
Right? Those are full frame cameras, but this is a full frame camera from 2012, and the M9 is from 2009.
Yeah.
So how do they hold up? You know, in terms of versus a CL.
We may get to that a little bit, some of that specifics, but I think now
more the general.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I think in my experience that what the CL gives you is often indistinguishable in print form or web form than what you'll get from something else, like an SL or an M240 or a Q. Again, not talking about the SL2 or the M10 monochrome, but again, if the situation you're in or the environment you're in or the traveling you're doing is not allowing you to bring an M10 monochrome or an SL2.
Or you don't want to.
Right. Then what are you going to do? Use your phone? Like, no.
Yeah,
you're a Leica photographer. You don't use your phone.
Infinity times better results than a phone.
You take a CL or a TL2. That's what you do.
And you know, I mentioned this in a previous webisode here, but I actually use this exact camera. I use this camera when I go rock climbing and hiking because it's physically smaller. Generally, I have the.
What do you want?
The 18?
18? I got here. I got this one.
Generally, I have the 18 on here when I'm actually climbing.
Yeah, this is, we'll get into the lenses, but this is like a little baby guy.
Okay, now
so cute.
I have this little setup right here.
Get a close look at that bad boy. Nice.
Okay, now you can see how tiny that is, right? This is kind of almost, you know, palm of my hand kind of size. It's really lightweight.
So this is, tell them what lens that is so they know.
So this is the 18mm Elmarit TL.
Yeah.
Aspheric. And it's equivalent to a 28mm.
It's a 2.8.
Yep.
So it's a pancake lens, basically.
All right. We can get.
It's tiny.
Go to the big shot here.
There
all right.
There we go.
So, you know, this is an easy slider strap.
The E25R A-cam.
And you can see it's earth tone for, you know, this outdoorsy thing. But I have it kind of on my hip. It's okay. On my hip. So if I'm climbing, it's out of the way. And I use one of these. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. I can see it. So this is what's called a non-locking carabiner in the climbing world. Just for comparison's sake, this is a locking carabiner, right? It has a screw gate, so this keeps you alive if you fall. These are more for utility and also sport climbing, but we're not going to talk about climbing right now. What I use this for, you can cut back, is I put it on the strap and then I will attach it onto the harness using the carabiner.
This is a very specific use case.
This is a very specific use case.
For the one person watching who's going to go climbing.
Right, but for instance, if you are, you know, if you're on the trail, if you just like hiking, or I know a lot of people we talk to are into cycling. You know, with cycling, you don't want the camera falling in front of you. So being able to kind of set it off to the side and clip it into place, like messenger style, is actually useful.
And this weighs less than a Q, by the way. That setup is about 150, 160 grams less, maybe more, I forget, than a Q.
Yeah.
So there is that as well. Size, weight.
So basically, having something so compact allows me to one, not have to worry about it. It's not swinging all over the place. If I had an SL, just the lens weighs double what this camera weighs.
The 24 to 90.
The 24 to 90.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily want that. And this is just really great if I'm, like I said, hiking or climbing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm me and I can't sacrifice on look. So I carry my favorite lens, which is 35 1.4.
We'll talk about lenses.
We'll talk about lenses.
I think.
And it's small enough because the TL lenses are small enough you can put it in a little pouch and carry it on your backpack or your harness or whatever.
I think we need to get to the next question.
I
just realized we haven't answered another question in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That was a good question, and it's a good primer for where we're going to keep going.
It's small, it's light, and it's not a sacrifice in image quality.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
What else we got, Jose? Something
All
on
right,
that?
so something along those lines. What do I give up going from an SL601 to a CL?
That's a good question.
Like 1,000 grams?
A lot, yeah. So the original SL Type 601 and the CL are both 24 megapixel interchangeable lens, L mount, so they take the same lenses. 24 megapixel cameras, right? So if you have an SL601 or you're looking at an SL601 versus looking at a CL, you may say, well, the specs look similar in the sense of they're both 24 megs. What are you giving up? So I actually did, in my typical pre-live view fashion, some testing.
Well, we're going to know the answers too.
Yeah, right. So I actually put an SL601 against a CL. And shockingly, they were extremely close. When I'm talking
it's actually not shocking to me.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm talking about ISO performance and noise, dynamic range, and just overall image quality. If you started a best case scenario where I took both cameras, f8, ISO 100, tripod, self-timer, best case scenario. I took 2 pictures, same equivalent lens, right? I used a 50 on the CL and a 75 on the SL 601. And I put those files in Lightroom. I was hard pressed to tell the difference. And again, this is our best case scenario. As you ramp up your ISO,
what do you think the limit is?
I mean, at 1600, I still would have been hard pressed to tell the difference.
Yeah.
And I was underexposing by a stop. And above 1600, you can start to tell a little bit.
Sure.
It's surprisingly not as much as I thought, which I thought was really interesting. I will say the SL has a tad more dynamic range in the highlights, a little bit more, which makes sense. You got your larger sensor. That is an advantage.
Yep.
Although, when you think about everything else, from a size perspective, it's amazing to me how much the CL was doing. Yeah. Of course, with the SL, you've got a larger, high-resolution electronic viewfinder. It is weather sealed. The SL is a pro-body camera. Even, it's the original one. It's been out for 5 years. It's still a pro-body camera.
Still a great camera.
Right. Still fantastic. It's a fantastic tool.
Well, and I think that is an important point you just raised, which is the EVF functionality, right? So the original SL601 had a 4.4 megapixel EVF. The new SL2 has a 5.68 megapixel OLED viewfinder, and the CL has a 2.4 megapixel EVF.
2.4 or is it 2.7?
2.4. The Q is 3.7.
Yeah, 2.36 actually.
2.36.
Yeah. So it seems low, but you know what?
It looks really good though.
In use, I actually, and I'm going to get green for
saying this. I know.
I prefer the CL EVF over the Q EVF.
I knew you were going to say it.
Especially as a glasses wearer, the CL Finder has more eye relief.
It does.
Than the Q, so I can put because my eye sits farther away because I have glasses, I can see way better with the CL's EVF than I can with the Q.
Well, if I do a close-up on this, actually you can see we have an original Q here.
The Type 116.
Yep, and I've got the CL. And I'm just going to turn them around and take a look.
Well, show them from the top so they can see.
Well, no, I want to see the viewfinder.
Okay.
So the actual viewfinder of the Q is a smaller, what's called pupil there. Try to catch the light so you guys can see it.
There we go. There we go. You got it.
So you can see the actual opening, or the pupil is smaller than that of the CL. So you can see here on the CL how much wider it is. So it's got greater magnification and greater eye relief.
I love the viewfinder on the CL. And I remember when the CL came out, looking at the specs and going, oh, this is gonna be disappointing compared to the Q, which was older than the CL. And then I used it, and I was like, man,
it's really good. It's really good.
I don't know what they did. I don't know how they did it, but it is really, really nice. I mean, if you don't believe me, try one. Go.
It's definitely, and I would also say kind of apples to apples comparison, right?
I think it's better than that.
Right. The VisiFlex 020. This is 2.4 megapixel as well.
Yeah.
For the M10, and
it's physically larger, but
it also has that physically large pupil as well. But I think magically the CL at the same resolution just looks better.
Yeah, I don't know. It's wizardry to me. But I'm just saying, I couldn't believe it, and that's one of the reasons I shoot a lot of CL, because it is a nice.
It's a really nice EVF.
I don't like to do arm's length, like this. I generally am using the viewfinder.
Yeah.
Look, if it has an optional one, I've got it on there. The CL for that is perfect because I'm never using the screen. I'm just using the finder for everything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use the finder if it wasn't good. It would frustrate me. Like on some of those little point-and-shoot cameras where it's like, everything.
It's a mirrorless camera.
Yeah.
Right? So on a mirrorless camera, your only interface with the image is the viewfinder.
Right. Yeah. Or the screen.
Right. And if you can't see what you're trying to compose,
right, forget it, yeah.
It's a problem.
And the nice thing about the CL, and they have kept this trend going, is the diopter is locking. The Q is not. The Q2 it is. It does have a pop-out diopter adjustment as well on the finder, which is great. Here. You're not going to hit it by mistake. Can we get a little close-up?
I'm going to try.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh. We love that. This thing, we need a diopter on our camera.
There
we go.
So this little doohickey there
pops out.
Yep. You kind of like pull it. It's hard to show, but it pops out, and then you can turn it, and then you just pop it back into place, and it's locking, so I can't accidentally rotate it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is nice as well. So this is actually, the viewfinder it belies the small size of this camera, the quality of that finder.
Indeed.
Which I think is kind of amazing. So, of course, I've totally forgotten what the original question was.
What are you giving up?
Oh, the SL601, right. Yeah. So I think the other big topic of discussion there is they have the same...
ruggedness.
Well, they have the same lens mount, is what I was going to say.
Oh, they do?
Because...
Yeah, that's true.
I can put SL lenses on a CL, CL lenses on an SL. Granted, the SL does crop. But not only is the CL a nice companion when you don't have your SL with you, it's also a nice backup to your SL.
Same lenses.
Takes the same lenses. And you can swap them back and forth.
I would also argue...
No adapters needed.
Well, it's not really an argument, but I would interject as well. You mentioned on this before, which is that you were hard-pressed to tell the difference.
Right.
And I said, I'm not surprised.
Right.
Because since I have this on my personal kit, I might use this for, let's say, behind-the-scenes images.
Yeah.
Just fun pictures while I'm out shooting on a workshop with the SL. The SL's, on a tripod. I'm shooting pictures. I'm doing some long exposures, and I've got this just hanging off my shoulder to shoot fun pictures behind the scenes of other people that I'm with. And then I pull them all into Lightroom, and it's like, did I shoot that with the SL?
It's crazy.
CL?
I've seen your prints.
Yeah.
20 by 30s from the CL. That look insane.
Nuts, right?
And here's another advantage that kind of just came to me. SL batteries are $275 a piece. And you can only get them from Leica. CL batteries are the same ones in the Q, the Velux 114, the Velux 5, the Velux 4. Even the Leica brand ones are under $95. And you can get aftermarket ones that maybe they're not as good.
Are they $95?
$95, yeah. Aftermarket ones that aren't as good, but they're cheap and you can get 50 of them. So that's a small but noticeable difference, is that the battery availability and size is great, and price point. So that was a good question. So,
but you do give up full weather sealing.
Right. It's not the CL is not a professional bodied camera. In this sense, when I say pro body, I mean it doesn't have an integrated grip. It doesn't have weather and dust sealing. It doesn't have the crazy fast
dual memory cards. 20 frames a second.
Right, 20 frames a second. It doesn't have dual memory cards. I get that. So I don't grab the CL thinking it's going to be an SL. I always say, I'm all about right tool for the job.
Yeah.
And so are you, of course. To me, a lot of the times I don't need those pro features. Of course, I always want them, but especially for casual stuff. I mean, we'll go out and do super serious stuff out in the Midwest or whatever. But for casual stuff with the occasional serious mix in, the CL is going to get me there. Yeah. Especially, when you're making prints. We've done 20 by 30s that look
easy,
amazing. So that's a good question, and I think it makes sense to ask that now. So next question.
Awesome. Since you guys were touching on this already, is it worth using SL lenses on the CL or TL2?
Ooh, I love that. I love that question.
Yes.
Next question. No. Well, let's show them what it looks like. So, okay, I think it depends on your use case. The 24 to 90 and 90 to 280 SL zooms are quite large proportional to the body. You do get access to their image stabilization on the CL because the CL does not have sensor-based stabilization.
Correct.
Keeps it small, keeps it light, keeps it affordable. Right?
The body is physically not large enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the 24 to 90 and 90 to 280 SL lenses are stabilized optically in the lens. And when you mount them on the CL, the image stabilization menu item becomes active. You can turn it on.
Right.
which is pretty cool.
And that's a good point, because otherwise the menu option's there. It's just grayed out.
Right, so don't freak out.
There is nothing wrong with your camera if that is like, oh my gosh, my image stabilization's not working.
It's not working.
Because you don't have an IS lens.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So, but those lenses, while they are a bit disproportionate, can work easier with a tripod or as a backup type situation. Like your SL has a problem, pull out the CL, get your lenses. 90-280 is cool because the CL is a 1.5 crop. We talked about this, 2 weeks ago? That, you get basically a teleconverter for the SL zooms or any SL lens.
Nothing.
You lose nothing, and there's no light loss. So it becomes a 420 millimeter f4.
It's great.
On the CL, stabilized, which is pretty cool. But where the CL really shines is with the SL Apple Summicron primes.
Ooh, nice.
This is a 75 Summicron SL. And this is an F2 like all the Apple Summicron SL primes. They're all the same exact size. Where is the, there it is, 75. So again, because the SL and the CL share the same mount, I don't need an adapter to mount this onto a CL. Well, actually, I'm gonna put it on this one because this one's got all the goodies on it. I'll show you how I do this because this lens is bigger than any of the CL lenses. Okay, so check this out. This is the Apple Summicron SL 75 F2 mounted on the CL. Again, no adapter needed. Man, David, you really chewed this thing up. Ashley's gonna be so mad. I'll just cover this. Where's the Sharpie? This CL has 3 things on it that help me work with this lens better than if it was just on the naked CL. Number 1, I've got the thumbs up EPCL, which is right here. You can see that there. And number 2, I've got the CL hand grip, which is out of focus. I also have the same, here we go. CL hand grip here. Number 3, I have a medium-sized finger loop, which is a separate item that threads into the hand grip there. So what that allows me to do is I have my thumb locked on the thumbs up, my fingers locked around the grip and around the finger loop. And now, there's a strap on this camera, but I feel like I'm rock solid. If
you're locked in, right?
If I had a wrist strap on here,
yeah,
I wouldn't even need an extra. I could just have a wrist strap, and this thing is not going anywhere. And it actually balances quite nicely. And now you've got a beautiful 110?
100
F2?
Yeah.
These Apple Summicron SL lenses are some of the finest that Leica has ever made. And on the CL, they're just magical. So,
well, they balance nicely. I mean, physically.
Yeah, I really think that this combo is usable. I mean, I could shoot with this with the grip, the thumbs up, and the
finger.
Well,
it's not too much larger here.
Well, yeah, if we go the 35 1.4. It's a little. I mean, it's 30% bigger. Yeah, it's heavier, which I think is what the grip helps with. So this is very viable. Again, autofocus, everything you get from a CL lens or the way it works on the SL, except it crops because it's a 1.5 crop factor. So,
which works in your favor on this one.
Yes, this is an amazing portrait lens on the CL. So whether you've already got an SL or an SL2 and you have these lenses, or you have a CL and you're building up these lenses to eventually get a used SL or a new SL2 one day, either way, they'll work on both platforms and they're very viable. So I do think, I think SL lenses work really well. This is a sweet combo. I'm actually got it turned on now. And focus is pretty good. It's pretty dark in here. And you know what? I'm pretty impressed with this focus speed on this thing, I have to say. So,
and it's quiet too.
Yeah, and it's super quiet. So yes, I think
works great.
With the augmentation of the thumbs up, the grip and the finger loop, and maybe a wrist strap on here, this is a very, very useful setup.
Yeah, and the reason that Josh is talking about that is only because that lens is a fair amount heavier than native glass, especially when you're looking at something like
18
that, so it's just so little.
Yeah.
But I think it makes a lot of sense. Other lenses like the 24-90 work really well. I would shy away, let's say, from the 16-35, only because the 11-23 is going to be a better choice for that.
Right. Yeah, there are certain cases that it wouldn't make sense, but I think
90-280.
The 90-280 is awesome.
Yep.
The primes, the Apple primes, are awesome. So do it. Next question.
Awesome. So, what is the downside of a pancake lens?
This isn't technically a pancake lens.
I called it one earlier, though.
I mean, it's
yes, it is.
It's almost a pancake lens.
It's the same size as a body cap and a rear cap together.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
it's the same thing.
But there's no sacrifice. This lens is
it's a 2.8 if you want to call that a sacrifice.
Okay.
What do you need to go to 1.4? Even if you look at the 23 f2.
Right.
So you're always going to give up something. In this case, you're not giving up quality.
Yeah,
you're just giving up maximum aperture.
Right. You see how little the glass is here, right?
Yeah, look at that thing. It's a 39 millimeter filter size on that lens. It's tiny.
Yeah, so I guess you're right. What you're giving up is, instead of this being an f2 like the 23, which is a little bit larger, let me turn it to the front because it's prettier.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
There we go.
Right? So that's the 18.
Yeah.
And that's the 23. So it's about double the length.
Yeah.
It's not double the weight,
no,
obviously.
It's probably a very similar weight.
Yeah, the 23 is pretty light.
Yeah.
But both are really excellent lenses. And as far as it goes, quality-wise, the 18 is exceptionally good quality. I mean, I was legitimately surprised.
Yeah.
Because when I first used the 18, it was for my CL review, and I was like, yeah, I'll try it. It's small enough to just throw in the bag.
Right. You don't think about it because you can buy them, together. It feels like a kit lens. I hate to say that. You just miss it. Yeah.
And I had a lot of experience with the 18 to 56. So why do I need a separate 18 if I've got the 18 to 56?
Yeah.
And it's covered also in the 11 to 23. So you have the 18 millimeter focal length is covered in 3 different lenses.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would argue that the best implementation of the 18, and also the fastest aperture-wise,
true,
is the little one.
That's right.
So I think it is the best image quality of those options. Not to say that the 11 to 23 or the 18 to 56 are bad. This is just kind of that next level up.
Let's be real. With the new packages they just offered, it's cheaper to buy the CL starter bundle that comes with the 18 than it is to buy the CL by itself.
The body only. It's like $100 less.
It's $100 less. I don't know. I don't make these things up. But that aside, it is, to me, what the 18 is
it's a free lens.
Well, yes, but what I mean is it makes it a different camera.
Yep.
Because it's so small, it's so light,
so compact,
it's so inobtrusive.
Well, what does it do? It makes it into
an X2.
Right?
Pretty much.
This was the X2, and now we've got something that is
not much bigger. A little bit. You're getting a lot more, including a built-in
Wow,
viewfinder.
that is actually nuts.
Yeah.
To look at it that way.
It's crazy. How much
you see from the side, like that's not so much bigger.
Okay, this is amazing. We haven't put these side by side before, which is why we're kind of geeking out a bit. So to me, the 18 is
that's crazy.
Is not only a fantastic 28 equivalent, it changes the way you handle the camera. You don't have to have a strap. You can put it in a like a back pocket or a coat pocket or a cargo pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a point and shoot on steroids. Seriously, because again we're talking about a camera that in a lot of ways competes with the SL, which 5 years ago was their ultimate flagship, pro body beast. Amazing. In the size of something you can put in your pocket. That's sweet. Okay.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. I guess we went way off tangent on that, but that's as usual.
Sorry.
What do we got?
We're staying in the same topic. What about the Vario lens? Is the image quality as good as the prime lenses?
Where is it?
18 to 56 is here. So we've got 3 Vario lenses for the CL system. We've got the standard that actually launched with the original T is the 18 to 56, and that's going to be equivalent to 28 to 85, and it's a 3.5 to 5.6.
Wait, I always forget.
Or 6.3.
It is 3.5 to 5.6. Yeah.
3.5 to 5.6.
Yeah.
And it's a really good lens. I believe it is based on the X Vario lens.
Yeah, which was an amazing little guy.
Insane. One of the best zooms they ever made. It just happened to be bolted onto a compact camera.
That's right.
The 11 to 23 is a ton of fun. Josh actually has a review that I linked down below.
That's right. Here it is.
For the 11 to 23, and that's like a 16 to 35.
Yeah, it's not that big. It's pretty small.
Oh, it's great. I love
not much to it there.
Shooting this thing at 11.
You can hold it up to the.
You just it's
close-up camera. You can
it's really cool.
Give me a second. Oh, focus. Nailed it. Yeah. So this is. I mean, there's my hand. It's not
big.
It's really not. For a 1635 equivalent, it's 3.5 to 4.5. Yeah, I did write a review of this on the original T, and I was very impressed and continue to be. This is actually fun on the SL2, but that's a story for later.
That is a different discussion.
So tiny. All right, so keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So as far as the zooms go, they are excellent quality.
But you forgot about the third one.
Oh, and the third one is the 55 to 135.
Mm-hmm. So there's 3 zooms, 3 Vario zoom, Vario whatever.
So this is equivalent to an 80 to 200.
Yes.
And this is also a 3.5 to 4.5.
Yeah.
So you notice kind of a trend here. that they're not super fast lenses. They're not f2.8 all the way through. And the reason for that is ultimately the system is designed to be, that is my shirt. Ultimately,
we're batting 1,000
it's okay.
We're doing great.
Ultimately, they're designed to be a compact system because you have a compact camera. So imagine if this lens was so far out of scale to go onto this camera, right? And that's the thing. You don't, I think the criticisms that these are slow lenses, therefore they're bad lenses, isn't true. Leica doesn't think that way. There's no, I've talked about this before, but I think people have been trained with the marketing from other companies that slow aperture lenses or variable aperture zooms are entry level.
A lot of times they are. That's the thing. Outside the Leica world,
but Leica doesn't have entry level lenses. They don't have disposable plastic lenses. So when they engineer a lens like this, it doesn't make it inferior in image quality to a fixed aperture lens or prime lens. It just means their design goal was different. And here it was to make it a small and light, but awesome optical performer. It's worth noting that the CL or TL lenses, depending on which parlance you want to use, were actually engineered. This was set a new paradigm of design for Leica. That lens, this fancy SL prime, actually would not exist if it wasn't for the APS lenses, because the APS lenses were designed. The first Leica lens is designed with a target goal of 60 line pairs per millimeter. That probably means very little to most people watching this, but until that point, Leica engineered lenses to 40 line pairs per millimeter, which is quite a lot. That's very, very small resolution. So imagine a black line and a white line and 40 sets of those, so 80 total lines in 1 millimeter. Now imagine, and it has to resolve those lines sharply.
The differences between the two.
Yeah. So you get white and black instead of muddled gray. That's what leads to sharpness. Now imagine going to 60 line pairs per millimeter. That's an increase of 50% resolving power. Like, that's not a small amount.
Yeah, that's serious.
50% more resolving power at 60 line pairs versus 40. That means 120 lines per millimeter. That is a very, very...
dog.
That is a very, very, very high volume and high resolving power for the lens.
Yeah.
And the SL primes also, actually all the SL lenses are also designed to that specification, which is why they work equally well on the high resolution SL2. Yeah. But it's also why on a smaller sensor camera, it tends to make up some of that difference you talked about earlier.
Right.
Just because they're not full frame, these lenses were engineered to a level to resolve the same level of detail as full frame in a smaller sensor area.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that gets overlooked, especially given either how small they are with the 18 or the slower aperture of, say, the telephoto lens.
Yeah, I think Leica looks at their product portfolio and they ask themselves, where do we fill in gaps? Right, you've already got the SL system, which has f2, f2.8, f1.4 lenses. Mm-hmm. You've got the M system, which has 0.95, 1.2, all these crazy fast lenses. But you have a large upfront investment in both weight and dollars. Mm-hmm. So they say, well, where can we fit in between that? Mm-hmm. Well, we'll give you something that has the interchangeable flexibility without the higher cost of MRSL or the size. So we're spoiled for choice now. That's the beauty. It's not like, oh, all you get is an 18-56, 3.5 to 5.6, and that is it.
It's not a kit lens.
That's right. You actually get access to quite a lot. So I think, the 18-56
really good performer.
Is actually quite a good lens, and it's extraordinarily light. You can't tell that in this live stream, but this lens, like this is a 35 Summa M lens. I'm pretty sure this weighs more than this, and this is much smaller. It's a lightweight lens, and it's a 52 millimeter filter thread size, so it's not huge. Mm-hmm. And I use it on the CL all the time. I mean, I don't have a problem. I'll use it on the SL if I'm feeling frisky. So. Okay, I think that answers the Vario question far more thoroughly than they probably expected.
The answer is yes, they're really good quality lenses.
Yeah,
all of them. There's no weak performers in the lineup because I guess asking you know, if there's good lenses or bad lenses in the CL TL lineup is kind of like asking the same question: are there good bad lenses in the SL,
right?
In the SL or the S? And the answer is no. They're all excellent, and then there's some that are just extraordinarily excellent.
It's not like we're biased or anything, you know.
No, not even a little bit.
But I think is no matter what Leica puts out, I'm always going to be skeptical about it. When I read, like I said about the viewfinder, I'll read the specs and I'll say, okay, but you know, I got to get my hands on it. I gotta get it out there. I gotta take pictures of the dog, pictures of the car.
I'll be honest, I was skeptical of the 18.
Sure.
I was like,
I get it.
I don't know. That's a pancake lens. Like,
I don't just go like, yay, you know, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. I'm like, prove it.
Right.
Because if it doesn't make good results or results that are up to our unnecessarily high standards, we're not gonna use it. No. And if we're not gonna use it, you're not gonna use it, no one's gonna use it because it's, you know, it's not good. So I will say this too. Last week, in preparation for our Q live stream, I put the CL with the 18 against the Q because they're both 28s.
Yeah.
Now the 2817 on the Q and the Q2 is one of their finest lenses. I mean,
that's one of the extraordinary ones.
Insane.
Yeah.
And no, the 18-28 was not as good, but man, was it close.
Yeah.
Was it close?
Are you talking the Q or the Q2?
The Q, on the Q.
The original Q, okay.
I was shocked. I thought, oh, the Q lens is phenomenal. It's full frame, it's a 1.7, but man, they were close. And as soon as you start stopping down, it's like, it's hard to tell. That was pretty cool to see, because I had not done that before. I had not put the Q and the CL. You know,
how are they like both at 2.8? Would you say the Q?
I say the Q has a slight edge. It does. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the Q has, because that lens is, but you're talking about comparing this little tiny baby lens to one of the finest 28s they've ever made.
Right.
That is something. I was very surprised. So that was a good,
for sure.
And a good question too. All right, so why don't we go to the next question so we stop rambling? Go.
Awesome. All right. So, firmware updates. What features have been added via firmware over the last couple of years on the CL?
So many.
And what do you guys think we might see in the future, you know, regarding firmware updates on the CL?
I don't know if I would try to predict the future like that. I'd just get myself in trouble. But we've seen a lot of improvements between 2, 2.2, 3.1, 3.2. They gave you the ability to lock the dials. They gave you the ability to move around the autofocus point in the EVF with touch focus enabled, which you couldn't do before.
In other words, that's not necessarily self-evident, but if I'm here,
right,
it means I can use my thumb on the back of the camera.
No, that's not what I mean.
Are you talking about that?
I'm talking about, no, because you can actually, before in touch focus, you couldn't use the directional pad to move the point.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. They gave you, geez, I'm trying to remember. There's been a few major updates. Compatibility with the new Photos app was a big one. That was 3.1. They improved the auto ISO behavior. They did, man, I don't think what else they did.
I can look it up.
I'm running out of. I tried to memorize all of them, but I completely forgot. There's been really, I would say, 2 major and a few minor updates for the CL firmware in the past 3.5 years. They've definitely done a good bit. Oh, they gave you the ability, that's the big one, to change the functionality of the 2 dials.
To switch them.
That's a huge one. So you're not at the mercy of having shutter speed here, aperture there, exposure compensation here, whatever. You can swap them in the menu. That was a big one.
Also, focus peaking sensitivity was added.
That's right. Forgot about that. What else?
Yep, we've got 4K video
manual
size.
control and video, manual aperture control and video. That was a huge one. How could I forget that?
Yep.
There's more than I can
Touch AF on and off for different things.
Oh, EVF brightness control. That was one that people asked for.
Auto ISO behavior was expanded.
Yeah. I did that one.
Photos. L mount lenses can be updated.
Yeah. Quite a lot.
Yeah, and that's just 3.1.
And I don't expect them to stop doing firmware updates for the CL. I mean, the CL is still current, and they're still, the 3.2 came out last year or this year.
Yeah, if you want to read about it, Jose, just pop down to the screen here. I'll just show these guys what I'm actually looking at.
Yeah, there we go.
So what I did is I typed in on Reddit forum, just typed in CL firmware, as you can see here, and the result is, hitting enter would help, right?
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
Yeah. Here, so you can actually see, and I'm just going to zoom in so you guys can see that. So I was just clicking on Leica firmware 3.1 for CL released, and here you could just see, like, if you wanted to see what version 2 looked like.
Right, and we cover all the changes in detail.
Yeah, so we cover all the changes, and you can actually see a full breakdown and with menu screenshots and actually what it does. There's that lock.
And we have a video about at the bottom how to update your firmware.
And there is a Red Dot Forum video.
In case you're not sure how to do it,
there you
we walk you through it. So
yep.
That is all on Red Dot Forum. Yeah, so there's been a lot of changes, which is a common theme for what I call the modern Leica. Is they come out with the camera, and they don't just say, here it is, have fun. They come out with it and consistently...
They actually support it.
And dramatically support it.
Yeah.
They don't just give you little bug fixes. They're actually giving you major, major new features.
Functionality.
Yeah, absolutely, which is awesome.
As far as what's coming, I mean, your guess is as good as ours. There's things that maybe I'd like to see. I think it would be cool, because we saw in one of the Q2 firmware updates, the new menu UI functionality, the touch menu UI,
I don't know if they can do that.
Was brought over from the SL2 and brought into the Q2. And we don't know if it's possible, but it would be kind of cool to have a rear touchscreen UI like the other cameras do, because it is a touchscreen camera.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's a good point, because they did the Q2.
Yeah.
So that would be cool.
Of course, I would like that, but that's not they're going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say. I've been quite pleased so far with their firmware updates, and we'll have to just wait and see what they do. Good question, though. What's next?
Awesome. All right. Can you guys talk a little bit about the Leica FOTOS app and the GPS functionality? More specifically, Gary asked, if I use the Leica FOTOS app, do I have to import the photos onto my phone to get location information?
Yes. So I suspect, although I'm not acting on any official information, that this integration will improve. This is a newer feature for Leica, where if you use the Photos app to take the picture, meaning you're clicking the shutter button in the Photos app on your iOS or Android device, it can tag, if you turn it on, it can tag that image with the GPS data, because the phone is a GPS receiver.
That's how they track you.
don't start.
So Google tells me when it's time to go.
That's true. So currently, the only way to get GPS data is to take the pictures with your phone with the Photos app. That's it. I'm hoping that what we can see in the future is just having the camera connected to the phone is enough, and then taking pictures with the camera will tag it. But currently, you need to tag it with your phone, and then you can look at that data in Lightroom or any of your other editing apps that you like that have that.
I would interject that if GPS tagging is really important to you today with current functions, you could use the TL2 with the VisiFlex, and the VisiFlex has a built-in GPS.
I forgot about that. Good
and
point.
Every single photo you take on the camera is going to be geotagged.
Right, so let's say that one more time. The VisiFlex, which is the viewfinder for the M10, the T-Series cameras, and the X113, has a GPS receiver built in.
Yep.
So if you have this on your camera, on your TL2, TL, whatever, it doesn't work on the CL.
Right.
Before you ask.
And it is removable, as you can see.
And it does tilt up and down, show them that. It's super cool. This will, if you turn it on, turn the GPS setting on, this will geotag your images, which is awesome. Right. So that's one workaround. Yeah, but of course, on the CL, you need to take the pictures with the Photos app, and then that will tag the GPS data. So again, this is a new feature. I'm hoping that they continue to improve this integration, but that's where we're at for right now.
Yeah, the Photos app is kind of a new thing, and they do have a whole team in-house at Leica that's developing the app.
Yeah, and it's come a long way.
Yes.
In a short time.
Yes.
So
they're doing a good job.
I know there's bugs. I know you're all going to yell at me, but I can accept that because Leica is so tiny as a company, and they're doing this crazy, like 15 different cameras or something that can all work with the same app.
Crazy.
I mean, it's insane. So good question, though. Next.
All right. Why would I choose the TL2 over the CL?
Well, there's one reason.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to use the VisiFlex, that is one reason. What else, David?
I think, style-wise, a lot of people really took to the T and TL, TL2.
Looks
because
cool.
It looks really cool. It feels really cool. It's got this, the beautiful engineered grip. Actually, the camera was co-designed with Audi.
Walter De Silva, yeah. Or I don't know if he's currently...
Well, Audi Design. Audi Design.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Audi Design actually contributed the actual body shape of the TL. And it is machined out of a single block of aluminum.
You can feel it. When you hold,
it just feels really good.
When you hold the camera, you can feel that it's like a solid brick. Not heavy in this sense, but that it just has no seams. There's no joining. Okay, so that's one, using the VisiFlex. Two is the way it looks, the way it feels.
Yep.
It's also a very familiar interface.
Yeah, so pretty much anybody who picks up this camera, anybody who has never used a Leica before can figure it out. Yeah. It's really intuitive because everything's on the touchscreen with big icons. And I'd say with one caveat, playback can be challenging for people. Playback on the camera is activated by swiping down from the top of the screen. That's not also super intuitive, but that's how you do it.
This is a specific feature, but there's built-in memory.
That's
32
true.
gigabytes. That's built-in memory in the TL2. So If you're the kind of person who forgets to put their SD card in your camera all the time, you're covered. Because you just plug this into a computer, it's got a USB port.
Yep.
And you can grab the images off of there. So it's got 32 gigs of interior built-in storage.
Yeah, and then it's got the
cool.
inside the memory card door slot here.
Yeah.
I don't have a memory card in there right now, but then you can actually see that there's an HDMI out, as well as a USB.
Oh, we'll get there.
Little mini USB.
It's like, gotta hold it up just right. It's like
Sorry,
a thin
it's very,
piece of
very, very.
like,
I'm looking at my monitor over here.
Yeah,
just
trying to
line.
get it
There we go.
positioned perfectly.
Now you can see it.
There we go.
Okay, so there's the door.
That's right.
And that is the only non-piece of aluminum on the camera, I think.
Yeah.
This is plastic,
Yeah.
but you can see we've got the added ability there, because with 32 gigs, you're gonna need some way to download that. You could do it over Wi-Fi. It just takes a while.
I mean, look how big that screen is. Turn it on, David. Pull up.
Yeah, it's like a 4-inch
pull up
screen.
the menu while you've got.
Ah.
There she is.
Pull up the menu.
Yeah, show what the menu looks like. Look at that. Totally graphical, big blocks, very clear.
Yep.
They really cleaned it up. You've got a the menu that you're looking at now is a customizable menu.
Right. So I'm gonna look at this. This is my favorites menu. So you can see here ISO. I can just select my ISO just like that.
Yeah. Now go back, David.
Some of them are toggles.
If you I want to show them how to take things in and out. So
see
go
that
back.
there?
Yeah. That's yeah. Go back.
Yeah.
Arrow. No, hit the arrow button. Yeah, I know. We're doing this in mirror image, so it's a little tricky. Go back to the menu, the my camera menu, and up that side. Oh, you're so close.
I am really close.
Oh, nailed it. And if you press and hold one of the icons there, like not that one, you press and hold that one. See how you can put it in the trash can? You can take it away from.
Right. I could delete that right there.
Yeah, you can.
I'm not gonna delete it.
Right. So that menu is customizable.
Deleted.
Then you hit the plus button, and you can choose what to add to that screen.
This right here.
Tap that. Yes. You can add any. So this sort of home screen menu is totally customizable, all by sort of clicking and dragging. And,
yeah.
and
so now I've just added that other thing, and you can rearrange by, let's say, click over here, and I can actually drag it around and reorder it.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. I think that is one of the underrated functions of the TL2 is that interface, because it just makes it, you just tap the menu button.
Yep.
And you see everything that you want to change right there, literally at your fingertips.
Right. And this is pretty cool. I'm going to come at it from this side. So you can see here this control, and it toggles. So it's got the little dot icon, which is cool, and it changes the actual display.
Super cool.
Yeah, and then some of them, like ISO, you tap, and it's just a list.
Now there are obviously there's no buttons on the back. There are 2 dials on the top.
Yep, right here.
So you get a function button up there, which you can actually assign to playback if you don't like the swipe down thing.
Yep, right here.
And then you've got dials for exposure compensation and aperture. So it's not all touchscreen. You do have some dials for the key stuff. So it's actually a nice blend of mechanical and electronic, if you will.
It's just yeah, it's
cool.
Pretty nice.
And you can get it here. Show them the bare aluminum one. That's the painted black one. Then you've got the bare aluminum one.
Yeah, this was the original. So the black didn't come out originally.
I think they came out at the same time.
Did it come out, or is it TL?
You're thinking of the original T.
Oh, the original. Well, the original T was only in the aluminum, and then when they came out with the TL, which was kind of a mid refresh, the TL had it, and then the TL2 has always had black and aluminum.
Yeah.
But originally, when the camera just came out, it was this aluminum, kind of a bare aluminum, and with the black rear screen.
And I think we'll finish this question just by reminding people that the TL2 and the CL, we've been talking, great things about the image quality from the CL.
This matches really nicely with your MacBook.
Yeah, that's true. It's the same sensor. So all these nice things we've been saying about the CL's image quality, it's the same with the TL2. Same sensor.
Same sensor.
Just to be clear. Next question.
All right. I don't know if you guys touched on this on the firmware update. Is there a back button focus on the CL?
Kind of. So there is no back button.
There's no back button.
There's no back button. You can assign either the top wheel, right wheel function button or the function button on the back of the camera to activate and lock the autofocus, meaning you've got the shot, you move your point around, you hit the function button, and it will focus and lock on that subject. So when you hit the shutter, it won't refocus.
And you're talking about the rear function button.
Yeah, either that or the right wheel button. You can assign
Although that would be a little weird because you have to move your finger.
The thing is, currently
I would suggest the function button.
Currently the way it behaves is it does reset that with every time you take the picture. So on the SL, for example, if you have back button focus, it removes the autofocusing from the shutter button entirely.
Yeah.
On the CL, you do have to kind of re-engage it every time. It's like if you hit the shutter button before you hit the function button, it's still going to autofocus. It's actually not hard to get used to once you get a feel for it. I'm sure this can be improved in firmware because this was fixed or was added in firmware later. So the short answer is you can assign AFL to either the rear function button or the top right wheel button, and it will activate and lock the autofocus, preventing you from reactivating it with the shutter half press. But once you fully press the shutter and take the picture, autofocus goes back to the shutter button until you lock it with the function button again. So
I think it's also worthwhile just to show, because this is one of the cool features that I like about the CL, is how easy it is to use. And this, I believe, was the first, and then it was carried forward. Was it carried forward to the M10, or did the M10 have it first?
No, this had it first, right? No.
Yes.
The M10 was 2017. This was
January 2017.
This was. I don't know.
Okay,
we're getting into the rabbit hole here. That's
one of these two had it, but the M10 and the CL share the rear interface, and you can see here the function button. If you just press it once, you'll see I have it programmed to self timer. Okay, if you press and hold, it brings up a context menu here that I can scroll through, and I can select something different. And as soon as I select something different, now when I click that, it brings that option up without me having to go into the menu to reprogram it. So the way you reprogram it is simply to long press, select what you want in the screen here, boom, and then
a single tap.
Yeah, and then a single tap will activate it.
Yeah. So the list that David's showing you, when you press and hold that list,
this is customizable.
That list, because there's obviously more than that many things you can assign this button to. In the menu itself, you can customize the list of possibilities for the function button.
True.
And then that way, let's say there's 4 or 5 that you want to bounce between, you can have them customized to that list.
So you can eliminate the ones that you never use.
Exactly.
Like I never use white balance.
Right.
Because I shoot raw and I don't care.
Right.
So, but I do use self-timer quite a lot.
So for a camera with very few buttons and not a lot going on outside, you have 2 customizable function buttons.
Yep, the second one
which is
up top.
Yeah, the right, they call the right wheel button, which is the small round button in the right wheel there. So same functionality. If you press and hold that, you get that list on the rear screen, and you can pick from whatever setting you want. So that's where you could assign autofocus lock if you wanted to. I put ISO.
So this one right here. So there's a dial, as you can see. And kind of like the T, right? If you look at the TL2, there's the two rear dials.
Yeah.
But this is kind of revision 2.1, right?
Yeah.
So these are also buttons in the middle. The button on the left side, the reason Josh said the right-hand side, because the left side is actually how you access the shooting mode.
Right, program or aperture.
Yeah, and that's always going to be your shooting mode selector. So
that's a single press that David's doing. So it's not a press and hold.
A single press.
Single press.
And then a wheel.
Yeah, that's how you change your shooting mode.
Yep.
Okay.
This button is a function button, and you can see, I'm just going to tap it on the top. If I tap that button, you'll see, boom. That's my ISO control.
And we like that. I mean, I use that for ISO.
I love it for ISO.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, yeah.
Okay, that way, when I'm shooting, I have aperture and shutter speed on the dials, or if I'm shooting an aperture priority, like I usually do, I have aperture and exposure compensation on assigned to the 2 dials, and then a single tap here will bring up my ISO. So I have all 3 of my
And while we're talking about those 2 dials,
exposure elements.
If you press and hold the left dial, that locks all the buttons on the camera, except for the shutter button and the power switch.
Don't do that.
That's like a lock. Well, unless you want to lock everything.
Most
press
people
and hold
don't.
the right button, and that brings up the menu to customize what it does. So the press and hold, if I've seen people, you don't realize you press and hold that left button, and you've locked the camera, and you're like, I can't change the settings. Just press and hold it again, and it'll unlock.
Or if you do it by accident, you can turn the camera off and on again, and the lock will disappear.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. I never actually use it, so I just know it because I'm troubleshooting.
That's like right.
Okay.
If you have a problem, turn it off, turn it on, and you're fine.
So that's what's cool about the CL is you've got on the top 2 wheels and 2 buttons that just look like they're so seamlessly integrated.
Yeah, designed
you're talking about shooting mode control, locking, aperture control, ISO control, exposure compensation, all this stuff in that little tiny
right
there,
here with this much distance, right?
It's crazy and awesome.
So it's really, really fast and easy to shoot it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We went off crazy.
Sorry about the tangent there.
Let's go. Let's keep going.
We have a tricky one here.
Ooh, I like tricky ones.
So from Robert, he's asking, is there a way to trigger a focus zoom assist for manual focus lenses using the Leica M-Adapter-L? And if so, does it have to be a Leica lens or would it work with any M mount?
So
that's a good question.
On M cameras, M10, M240, if you have live view enabled and you have an M lens on the camera, you could turn the lens and it's physically pushing the cam inside the camera.
The roller cam's rotating.
There's a sensor in there. So because there's a physical action happening, the camera will automatically zoom in to live view to assist you in focusing. They call it focus assist. On the SL, the TL2, the CL, all those other cameras, because you have an adapter in between the M lens and the camera, there is no longer a physical thing that's moving.
There's more mechanical linkage.
There's no more, right, no more mechanical linkage.
And it's certainly not electronic.
Exactly.
Right.
So you have to manually activate the magnification. So and that's true with an M lens, R lens, any adapted lens on the CL or the TL2, you have to manually activate the focus assist. Unlike on an M camera, where it can automatically activate. Well, I have the adapters here. I can actually show them how this works because I'm a cool dude like that.
Right, and I would say...
You pop on an M lens on here for you.
Capture assistance. Nope, not that capture assistance.
Let's see.
It is under, here we go, focus assist under the focus, here, I can show you guys. Oh, actually.
Well, I'm gonna show how the magnification works first. Let me just put it on there. So right now I have a 28 Summicron 5.6 M lens with a silver M-Adapter-L on the CL.
Fancy, fancy.
Super cool. And I also have an Artino mono case on here because I'm even cooler than that. So if we look at me here, the right dial will activate 2 different stages of zoom.
Very easy. Again, everything's at your thumb.
Right, that is your focus assist. And if I'm zoomed in, I can use the arrow keys here to move up or move down, just depending on where you want to actually focus. So there's 2 stages of zoom. Oops, hit buttons.
Now, normally that would be aperture control, but think about this.
Right, your aperture control is on your lens now.
There's no aperture control in the camera. It knows that you have a non-aperture controllable, electronically controllable lens, right?
There I am.
So that's pretty clever.
So you can see on the top screen, I don't know if you can make this out, there is no aperture value present, F dash dash. That's because there is no electronic or mechanical connection between the aperture ring on the lens and the camera's internal brain. So it has no idea what the aperture is. Of course you do because it's on the lens and you set it. So that is why the aperture dial for all the other CL lenses now becomes your focus assist. Like that, 2 stages. Just turn it and you can half press to clear that out. So just if you're zoomed in, you want to focus, or you want to compose.
And you can see it's really quick.
Just tap. Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's crazy fast.
Here, why don't you focus while you're zoomed in?
I don't think this lens focuses that close. Not too far away. I did a bad job.
Hey, that
there we
looks
go.
good.
That's slightly better.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can see how that works. With any lens mounted on any adapter, if it's not an autofocus lens, that's how you do it.
And you can pair that as well with focus peaking.
Yeah, I don't think you would see it here because, yes, but you have focus peaking as well as the
And with the newer firmware, you have focus peaking sensitivity.
Yes, depending on what lens you're using. If it's a very high contrast lens, you may want to have the lower sensitivity. If it's a very low contrast lens, like
or even a high contrast or low contrast lighting scene.
Right, exactly.
So if you're in really bright daylight, at noon, it might be so contrasted the camera's picking up all of the areas of contrast. So you want to dial that sensitivity back.
Yeah.
Or if it's in the middle of a low contrast lighting scenario like a snowstorm or something or fog, you might want to increase that sensitivity so you can pick up the reduced contrast.
There you go. Good question, though.
Awesome.
That's nice.
All the focusing.
Speaking of adapting lenses, is it possible to use vintage C-mount or screw-mount lenses on the CL?
I wouldn't.
You can.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to our earlier conversation, and I mentioned how the CL lenses are super, super high resolving power, designed to 60 line pairs per millimeter. Let me just say, the vintage screw mount lenses, we're talking about lenses that were designed pre-1950.
Let me counter. You can use them for fun, and I have no problem with that, because the look's going to be wild. And you're not reliant on any kind of rangefinder calibration, because you just talk about live view. But you're not getting your money's worth out of, if I was going to do that, I'd probably buy an original T. You know, it's lower resolution.
Just to knock around.
Yeah, just to knock. They're like a couple $100. Still
certainly, you're not going to see a resolution difference on those lenses.
Right, exactly.
Between 16 and 24 megapixel.
Yeah,
you just won't.
If you had a bunch of those lenses, and actually, the original T may be the most affordable Leica platform.
It's only hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, it's a few $100s for original T, and it's still a great camera. And you know, yes, the autofocus wasn't as fast as the modern ones, but who cares? You're not using it for that.
Image quality is really good on the original T.
And any adapter you buy for the T is going to work on the TL, TL2, CL, SL, because it's L mount.
That's a good point.
So the T is actually a cool entry platform if you've already got a bunch of M or screw mount lenses or things you want to play with.
That's a good idea.
On a modern camera. So good question. Again, I keep saying that, but it's true.
They're all good questions.
All right, what's next?
All right, awesome. Let's see. What about the accessories? What accessories do you recommend for a CL?
I think you talked about some of them already.
Yeah, we covered the thumbs up. There is both the thumbs up made by Match Technical and the Leica thumb support made by Leica, which I will attempt to show you here. So I talked about this a little bit with the Q video from last week, right?
You did,
where they are slightly different. It's a little tricky to hold them both up.
Yeah, catch the light. That's good.
So this hand here has the Leica CL thumb support, and this hand here with the 75 has the thumbs up. The CL thumb support sits a little bit farther out. It doesn't curve quite as much. Ergonomically, a little different. Let's keep this view, and I will turn his camera. Yes. Here you can see kind of how
the shape is different.
The shape is different. The CL thumb support by Leica, which is this one, kind of covers the whole back of the camera. Well, that is a brass thumbs up. That's another difference. Is this is made from aluminum. This thumbs up or thumb support.
The one with the one on the case.
Right. The thumbs up is painted brass. You can actually see.
This is the Leica one.
Yeah, right here.
And this is the Match Technical one. You
can see it actually is brassing right here on the leading edge. So if you like that kind of thing, then you know this is obviously quite heavily used. So they're similar. I do think that if we're gonna get real specific, it's hard to tell.
It's that angle.
The CL thumb support, I'll just show that one. It sits in a way that is a little bit lower. So for some people, see how it's kind of flush?
I'm gonna show right here.
With the top of the camera? Yeah, so if I show, and then I'll show the, it's hard to really show. The thumbs up, it just sits a little bit differently. So depending on your hands, the size of your hands, you may find it easier to access this dial with one or the other. I would encourage trying them. They're both excellent. I generally use the thumbs up version because it has a little more of an angle to it here, which fits my thumb better. So we talk about thumbs up, hand grip, finger loop.
The Arte di Mano cases are super
The Arte di
nice.
Mano half case, right, which I've got here. We've got, of course, adapters, which is another discussion.
I'm a big fan of
ACAM E25 strap.
This is the easy adjust slider.
Here's another trick. Aha, I have a good one. Okay, so whenever I say so, you know it's going to be good.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, the battery in the CL is the same battery of 4 generations of cameras.
Velux.
Velux 4, Velux 114, Velux 5, Q, CL. Take the same battery. The charger that you get with the CL is this little, I'm looking at my screen here. Here we go. Looks like that, and it's got a plug.
That's called a figure 8.
Figure 8 mains, blurry figure 8 mains cord. I know, it's a little object, so forgive us. It's hard to focus on this. I don't know if I bring it back a little bit. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay, so you have 2 options here. You can buy one of these little 1-foot power cords, little dangly doos here, and this is certainly shorter than that like 6-foot cord that comes with it. Like that. That makes it pretty manageable. Or if you bought a Velux 4 or any of the later versions, well, not a Velux 5, but a Velux 114, remember it's the same battery, but you got a charger that has prongs in the back. So instead of the, we're here, we got it, hold on. Instead of the figure 8 mains cord, there is none, there's no plug. They are flip out prongs. You can actually purchase the compact pronged charger separately. It is a part available. It's like $100. So if you want to have a Leica brand charger without the annoying power cord, you can buy this because it's the same battery. This came with a Velux 4.
Yeah.
So that's
so much more convenient for travel.
Super niche accessory without having to go aftermarket for a charger.
Oh, there is something kind of cool.
Oh, yes, talk us.
Okay, so I think a lot of people are familiar on the SL2 that you have a USB Type-C charging port. Well, that wasn't the first camera that had that for Leica. That honor goes to, and here's another interesting advantage of the TL2. Remember we showed that USB port. Well, that USB port happens to be a Type-C, and I like my
Three hands for this.
Sorry, this is a My Charge, which I showed off, I think, on the SL2 broadcast.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
Yep. And you can see there, just My Charge. So it's a little, juice pack like you'd use for a phone. I happen to like this one. It's all metal, and it's got flip-out prongs, so you can just charge it. And it has both a light.
Lost our focus.
We lost our focus.
We are doing great today.
Okay.
It's a little thing on a white background, so I'm gonna cut it some slack.
Yeah.
People in the comments probably won't, but I'm gonna cut it.
No one's gonna cut this some slack. There we go.
Nice.
So,
there it is.
So we've got a lightning connector for my iPhone, and it has a secondary one, which is a USB Type-C plug, which I like. So, and what's cool is you just plug that into. Oh.
We are doing great. Just put it in manual focus. That's all. I think it's what
yeah. So you can see here I've got it plugged in.
Nice.
And the camera, you'll notice, has a little.
You shouldn't let it dangle like that, though.
No, a little red LED.
You're killing me right now.
Okay, the red LED means that the battery's charging.
That is amazing, actually. I didn't know that until David mentioned it earlier today. But you could do that.
So not only that, you can pop back here.
Does it work on the CL?
The CL does not have.
I mean, I know that, but I'm asking that so someone else doesn't.
Sorry. The CL does not have a USB port. There's no HDMI port. There's no.
So there's another advantage of the TL2. You can charge it in the field.
You can charge in the field, or if you want to really travel ultralight, instead of this, you can use a phone charger with a USB-C connector.
And I know someone's going to ask this. This is a random tangent, but we do have a silver TL battery in the black TL2.
It's not broken.
So if you want to know, why is there a silver thing on here? It's just because I couldn't find a black one. So
this is what the silver one looks
like. Because the battery is part of the bottom of the camera, so they have to match. They make different colors to match the various camera colors. So yeah, just in case anyone is wondering what that silver thing was.
So it's kind of cool. So even lighter than the travel charger idea is you can just use a use a MacBook charger.
Screen protectors. This is one of the new they call the premium hybrid glass screen protector. This is the size 1, I guess. This will fit on the CL. Very handy. Honestly, there's no reason not to have it. You just stick it on there and you're good. I
have a screen protector on my.
Watch the Q video from last week to see how to put it on a camera, and the same applies to this.
You'd be on the edge of your seat. It was very exciting.
Riveting.
Yes.
Riveting. Yes.
Watching Josh apply that screen protector.
I want to mention another, not really an accessory, but an extra thing.
Yeah.
If you bought a CL new, or if you buy a CL new, you'll notice it does not come with a printed instruction manual. And I'll get emails from people saying, oh, it was missing. Well, no, it's just Leica trying to be a little more environmentally friendly because it reduces the weight when they ship thousands of cameras at once, reduces the cost of printing and the wasted paper. So the thing is, you can still get one for free. You can actually go online under the Leica CL main page on Leica's website, leicacamera.com, and there's a form you can fill out, and they actually mail you a printed CL manual, and it comes from Germany. It's cool, and it's free. So if you have to provide your serial number and your name and address and all that. So if you do want to have a printed CL manual, like the original one,
you can get it.
You can request it. I had one here.
Otherwise, if you don't want the printed, but you still want a manual, you can go on the downloads page of leicacamera.com.
Right.
And put in Leica CL as the camera, and then you can download the instructions as a PDF. And actually, it's pretty cool because you can just put PDF right on your phone.
True, yeah.
And you can have a quick reference wherever you are, and always keep it in your in your phone or on your iPad or whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't have to carry it with you. But some people really do like that printed manual to make it complete.
Yeah, I mean, I would get it if it was me. I mean, because it's free. I mean, it takes a few weeks, sometimes longer, maybe a month or two, but whatever. It doesn't cost anything. So yeah. We can probably put a link to that somewhere if we want.
I can add that.
Yeah, if we want to be adventurous. Later we can do it.
It's easy enough to find it on your own.
Yeah, but we'll still help you, or you could just email us if you want. Yeah. So that's just some of the accessories. There's obviously a lot more, but those are kind of the ones that we.
It depends. If you're an M shooter, I would say the M-Adapter-L.
Oh, sure. Is that really I guess it's technically an accessory. So they do make the Leica M-Adapter-L in black or in silver. I will show those in a moment. Just piece them apart here. The The M-Adapter-L is made by Leica. They make them in black or in silver. I'm just getting ready to get the close-up shot here, and you can see it. And this will allow you to mount any M-mount lens onto your TL2 CL or SL or SL2. It does have a little reader, so you can read. It does read the 6-bit coding on the lens as well. So that passes the information through to the camera, so it knows what lens you've got mounted. You've also got the, I'm going to pull it out here. This is the R-Adapter-L. This is how you mount Leica R system lens. This is a 100 macro R. So you can take the R-Adapter-L, mount it onto the R lens, and this will actually mount right onto your CL. Pop it on there like that, and you can see. Sweet. Look at that beauty. Nice. So this is the R-Adapter-L on the CL. Now, you may remember from last week or 2 weeks ago, like that's the adapter for the SL.
Yep.
That's right. Because the SL, the CL, TL, TL2 are all L mount. The adapters are all exactly the same.
Yes.
M, R,
Full
third-party stuff, all exactly the same, all fully compatible. So that's
and
really,
that
really cool.
that right-hand thumb wheel, again, is going to be your magnification for our lenses as well.
Now check this out, okay, because everyone loves macro. I've got here the M-Adapter-L, which I just showed you. I've got the Leica Macro-Adapter-M right here. I'm going to pop that, just like so. Here we go. So now I have the Leica M-Adapter-L and the Leica Macro-Adapter-M. I'm going to put on, I don't have a good long M lens here. That's okay.
50?
I'll put on, do I have a 50 somewhere?
I do outside.
No.
35?
Okay,
35 here.
35 works.
Sure.
So now I've got, this is 35 Summilux, which is a cool little compact lens. Now I've got the M-Adapter-L attached to the Macro-Adapter-M attached to the 35 Summilux, so I can get crazy close. Let's see how close I can actually get. Put it at like 5.6. Let's see, right about there. That's literally how close I can focus. But wait,
really close.
But wait, there's more. Then
do you get a set of steak knives?
I wish. Then I'll take off the lens hood for a second here. I can take my L Pro 52.
Oh, you're really stacking it
here.
up now.
That's the magnifier for
close-up diopter.
Macro.
Yep.
And then, okay, I can take my 39 to 52. Well, this is a 46. 46 to 52 adapter. I'm just doing this because everyone loves macro so much, and I get it. It's fun. Okay, check this out. This may be too close. This probably should be a 50.
You're going to have to be inside the lens, I think.
Yeah, seriously. So this is CL, M-Adapter-L, Macro-Adapter-M, 35 Summilux, L Pro 52.
I think you've just broken the internet.
I think I have, and I can extend the macro adapter all the way.
Oh my gosh.
F8. I don't even know if this will work, to be honest with you, but we're gonna find out.
Here. I'm gonna hold this up.
Let's see.
Well,
oh God.
wait.
Oh God. Wait. Oh, I got it. Don't move it. Right about there. So I can actually fill the frame with about the top third. No, the top quarter of the SD card. I'm like on it. That's sick.
Wow.
This is like obviously a ridiculous use case. Although not really.
Greater than life-size magnification.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is super cool. I just want to say, and this of course would be more practical with something like the 90 macro M or anything longer. This is a
50
35.
Summicron would be really nice.
Yes.
75 Summicron.
I guess we don't have an M lens longer than 35. That's my bad. But
that's all right.
This does work surprisingly well. I mean, I was able to focus. I mean, you have to stop down, and this of course will work on the TL2 as well. So this is you want to go crazy. That's how you do it.
Now, I think it should be mentioned that the CL system right there
There it is.
has one of the best.
Let's just talk about this thing.
Macro
Let's just
lenses.
talk about it. Go.
Okay.
Tell us about this lens, please.
This
I take this mess apart.
right here, this is Leica's first ever, for real, first ever one-to-one macro without the need to use an L Pro. So Leica's come out with lenses before, like the 100 APO-Macro over there.
Which is a great lens.
Had an available L Pro, which is basically Leica's term for a one-to-one magnifier.
Like a magnifying glass for the lens.
Yeah. But this one natively is one-to-one, and look at this. It's all internal focusing.
Right,
so
if you
bring it up a little closer to me.
There we go. If this is the 100 macro, this thing has like 10 turns lock to lock. So it expands dramatically in use.
That's actually 2.5 turns on the 100, which is crazy.
Crazy.
Here is all internal focusing, and of course you get aperture control. You have autofocus, And it's really light, actually.
This is an APO lens. This is a 60 APO-Macro aspheric.
Yep.
This thing is sick.
APO-Macro 60. And because of the crop factor, the 60 is equivalent to a 90. So we're looking at a 90 millimeter, 2.8 APO-Macro 1:1. For comparison purposes, and I'll grab that. For comparison purposes, on the R system, let's say on full frame, this is a 100 f2.8 APO-Macro. And I'm gonna pop this lens off super quick.
There we go.
And you can see size-wise, they are not.
So let's just reiterate this. What David is holding in his hand right now, 2 lenses. One is the legendary Leica APO-Macro Element R 100mm 2.8. It's a 1:2 reproduction ratio. It's an incredible lens. It's been around for a little while.
1997.
It's manual focus, manual aperture, totally manual. And it weighs a good amount. Now,
it's a little heavy.
On his other hand, he's holding the APO-Macro Element TL 62.8. Both 2.8, both similar focal lengths in terms of, on a full frame versus a crop sensor. Except the 60 is a 1:1 instead of 1:2.
It
has
almost half the
autofocus.
weight. Yep.
It has electronic aperture control, and it's half the weight.
Yeah.
And it's sharper, I would argue.
I think it is. Again, because this was engineered with the design specification of 40 line pairs per millimeter.
Yeah.
This one was engineered with 60. This is designed to resolve, at its base specification, 50% greater resolution than this, which was actually designed as a film camera lens. It's just because it was so good.
Over-engineered in time.
This was over-engineered on film that it still performs amazingly well, even if you use this on an SL2.
Yeah.
This is one of those R lenses.
Yeah.
This is legendary right here.
This is sweet. And it's a great option because it will work, of course, on M, SL, SL2, et cetera, plus an R camera and all this other stuff. But if you have a CL and you want to shoot portraits, or you're just looking for a macro lens or a sharp tele lens, the 62.8, this thing is amazing.
Gets it done.
Even on an SL2, as a 20 megapixel, 92.8 macro.
Super nice.
It's great.
Yeah.
Even on an SL, even at 10 megs for social media or web or whatever, if you want to get close for product shots, e-commerce type of stuff, this is a great option. Okay.
I like it.
What's next?
All right, guys. Let's pick it up. We still have a few questions to go.
Sure.
Okay.
They're pretty good. So let's go back to the lenses for a moment.
More lenses.
So some of the CL lenses have been made in Japan, others in Germany. Is there a real difference in that?
No. Yes. No. I mean, it says something different on the lens. Just to kind of reiterate that question, some of the
majority of
the lenses, like the zooms, are all made in Japan. The 35 and the 60 are made in Germany. Yes, the 35 and the 60 are absolutely incredible lenses and happen to be some of our favorites, but it's not because they're made in Germany. Just, it's not.
Yeah.
This question was recently asked to the head of optics at Leica, and he said, well, the lenses are manufactured under Leica supervision to Leica designs to Leica standards. So that means their quality assurance standards that they have in Germany and the tolerances that they have to meet are the same that have been assigned to their lens, subcontractor in Japan. It's, again, like Josh was saying, they're trying to fill these gaps and trying to hit a price point.
Yeah.
And the way for them to do that is to make them in Japan. Keep in mind, I think some of the Nikon, Canon, Sony users will argue that the Japanese make some really good lenses.
I'll say, yeah.
A lot of the Zeiss lenses are made in Japan as well.
And a lot of them are great.
Zeiss makes some lenses in Japan and some in Germany. And it's actually not the first for Leica. Leica, for a long time, going back to the R series, some of the really great lenses like the 35 to 70 f4, the 80 to 200 f4, they were actually made in Japan, subcontracted to Contax.
I thought it was Minolta.
Those were Contax. Earlier was Minolta.
Oh, okay. Minolta was before that,
Yeah. So, and before that, Leica had a partner back in really early R days of R3, R4. That those were actually partnerships. A lot of partnerships with them.
So there's precedent here, and of course, it's still a Leica lens.
Right. Leica design, Leica standards.
That's right.
This isn't like Leica just slapped their name on it.
That's right. This is their lens. Yeah.
They are very, very proud of these lenses because again, they led the technology in these lenses led to the technology in these basically reference grade SL lenses.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
So we got that. What's next?
All right, David, what memory card do you recommend for the CL?
Ooh, our favorite question.
Actually, this is what I use. I don't know if you get a close-up shot. I feel like I'm a talk show host with this. Okay.
There we go.
Yay. Let me come a little there. That's fine.
We got it.
I recommend this. That's what I use. I have a very large box full of these. They are about $40 for a 64 meg card. They're 600x UHS-1 cards. The CL is actually UHS-2 compatible, but I mean, they're only 24 megapixel shots, and I don't shoot a gazillion pictures a second.
What if they want to go all out and get the best one? What do they get?
I mean, if you just I'd recommend the same one that I'm using on the SL2 and the Q2, which is the Lexar Pro 1667X. And you can go all the way up to 256 gigs, and I guess never change a memory card in your camera ever. But I guess I still go with the less expensive and the 64 meg cards, gig cards rather. I have been using those Transcend cards since the M8 actually, because they were one of the most reliable 2 gigabyte cards.
I was like 2 terabytes.
Oh my gosh.
We're not there yet, bro.
2 gigabytes is so little. 2 gigabyte SD cards for the M8, and kind of fell into those and been using them ever since. And I haven't had any SD cards in, what is it?
15. He's saying this on camera. So
I'm saying this on camera.
You're getting yourself in trouble now.
14 years of shooting with the Transcend SD cards, I've never had a failure. That being said, I am a little weird when it comes to this. Josh and I disagree on this particular point.
Well, it's not that we disagree, it's that you're insane and I'm
insane, and
different kind of insane.
And I recognize that. I'm self-aware of my insanity.
That's step one.
I accept my insanity. But what I do is my memory cards are single use. I treat them basically like film. I didn't ever try to erase the film and put new, emulsion on and put it back in my camera. So I do use the memory cards. I keep them in the camera until I fill them up. And I download them as I go, so I'm not like tempting fate here. So if I go out and I have a 5-day trip with my family, every night when I get back to the hotel, I'm gonna download it into the computer, put in Lightroom, be like, yeah, it's awesome. Put the card back in the camera, keep shooting, and when it fills up, I'm gonna take it out, put in a little plastic baggie with a label on it of what's on it, and I put it in a shoebox, basically.
There are so many cards floating around the office here. This is mind-boggling.
I have a lot of cards.
I've lost track.
And I do that twofold. One is because it's a backup, and it actually saved me on a really big trip that I took to Iceland, did a workshop, and obviously I was shooting a bigger file camera, so I went through, I think, 3 or 4 64 gig cards. And on the plane on the way back, I was editing photos on an external SSD, one of those Samsungs, and it disappeared. So all the photos that I had downloaded onto that external SSD, 1 terabyte SSD, were vanished. And if I had used the same card in the camera over again, I would have lost 3/4 of my whole trip. But because I had them all in my card wallet, I was able to just download them all back onto another drive when I got home, and they all matched up in my Lightroom catalog, and I lost nothing. So, I mean, except a $300 drive. But other than that,
no big deal, right?
I didn't lose the photos. I don't care about the drive. The drive can be replaced. The photos are really difficult to replace.
Right.
So having that backup method, at least, even if you're not going to keep them forever, if you just kind of go with this philosophy of, I'm going on a big shoot, a once-in-a-lifetime thing, a bucket list thing, don't overwrite your cards. Just have enough cards that you can, record freely without overwriting anything. And if you want, after you've downloaded and you're home and you've backed them up, and they're in the cloud and everything, that's fine. Do what you want. I then use them as additional backup in case I have a catastrophic drive failure or something like that, here.
Yeah.
And then I guess the second reason beyond backup is just durability. So the more that you write to any kind of media, solid state media or spinning drive, you're getting wear and tear, and there is a certain amount of life to anything.
They're better. That's better now. But
it's a lot better now. Yeah. And maybe I'm just old fashioned. Maybe I'm just really insane, But for me, it's worked out, and I haven't ever lost any photos. So
There you go.
Over in like 200,000 pictures. So.
All right, that was good.
Memory cards.
Right.
What's next?
Right, David. This one's for you again.
Yep.
Can you briefly touch on the video capabilities of the CL? Specifically, how do you enable it?
It's actually one of the shooting modes. So on the top, it's a little small to even show in there. But if you click the button once and you scroll through, you'll have the normal PASM, which is program, aperture, shutter speed, shutter priority, manual. And then there is a little, looks like a little movie camera. And the movie camera is your video mode. And you can shoot 4K video on here. And as of one of the recent firmware updates, you can control your exposure during video.
You can also swipe, in case you forgot to mention that.
True, just like on the SL.
You can swipe here this way to cycle between, I'm doing a bad job.
You're doing it backwards, yeah.
I can't actually see it, but you swipe from the left to the right, and that takes you from photo into video mode on the CL.
That was also in a firmware update, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's also what you do on the SL, and I'm very used to that. On the SL2, you can swipe left and right to change your live view mode. So I think that's also good troubleshooting. If somehow you are magically in video mode and you're like, but I didn't change it on the top dial.
I might have accidentally.
Try swiping back the other direction on your screen, full, when I say swipe, I don't mean just like in the middle, like a full cross swipe from one way to the other. I'll try to make mine do that.
It's going to be, you're like backwards. Did you break it?
No.
Fall asleep?
Turning the camera on would be a big help.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so now it's in video, and you can always tell it's in video because you see the little audio bars here go, because they're picking up, the camera does have stereo microphones right here and here. So those little audio monitors are going. And so if you're mixed up, just try swiping back.
You're never going to get it that way. No, I think it's the other way.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so now I'm back to still photo mode, and you can see my little audio monitors right here are gone. Yeah. And if I swipe back the other way, see?
It also crops a little bit.
Yeah, it crops a little bit because it's 16:9 rather than 2:3. Yeah. There we go. Yep.
It's easier when you're holding it in a normal position.
It's super easy. In a normal position, you can just swipe. Yeah. You can see if I'm just doing a thumb swipe, it changes every time, all the time.
That's pretty nice. Yeah. Except for that time. Anyway, that's how you get to video.
Okay.
Either the dial or the swipe.
Yep. But on the CL, there's no HDMI out, so all the recording is done internally to the SD card. And in that case, if you're going to do 4K video and a mix of video and film and photo, I do recommend a faster. This is a faster V60 card, and I do recommend the 256 capacity up here because that'll be enough for video and stills in 4K. 64 is just not big enough for video and photo.
Exactly. Cool. All right, next.
All right. Let's see. Because the sensor is so exposed, do you need to send the camera in to clean it often?
No, you take that one.
No, that's why. Actually, the benefit of the sensor being so exposed is it's so easy to clean.
It is.
I find that dust is really not as much of a problem on the CL as you might expect for having the sensor right there.
Not even a little bit.
I just use a little blower bulb, and sometimes I'll use the iLead gel stick sensor cleaner, which looks like this. And it's super easy to clean the CL sensor because it's right there. Just you're golden. I really very rarely find myself being concerned with that. So short answer, it's not a problem. Long answer, it's not a problem, and have a blower bulb.
Blower bulb, like so.
Give it the old squirt, and you're golden.
Usually, that's all it takes. So you might have to hit it from a different angle.
Yeah, right, but that's the
but it's really easy also to see it. You can just kind of reflect in the light. And
you can see if there's any spots on there.
Yeah, I mean, throw your reading glasses on and reflect in the light, and you can really easily see the spots on this camera. Yeah. And like Josh said, I mean, personally, it's probably one of the least dust-prone cameras.
I'll say one quick tip, and then we're going to go to the next question. Is also you do want to make sure you are blowing off the back of your lenses before you put them on the camera, because you could clean your sensor, but you got some gunk back here. You know, there's little crevices and stuff. And then it just falls on your sensor and you're back where you started. So, yeah, next question.
All right. Let's see. All right, so we have a funny one here. Is there a new CL coming out soon? Are there any rumors?
I mean, I have no idea. Leica doesn't really share that kind of information.
They don't share it, and I guess I haven't really
thought about it.
I haven't really read any rumors.
I haven't done it. I'm like, I'm shooting. Like whoever asked that question, like, it's cool. I get it because I like new stuff too. But I'm not worrying about what's next because I'm out shooting. You know, I'm using the tools available to me. Well, and when something new comes out, I'll use that next.
I mean, it's always exciting when something new comes out.
Sure.
Believe it. I mean, we're like crazy gear nerds, and it's like, oh my God, I got to see this. But we've also reached a certain point in technology where you said it before, like we're overwhelmed with good choices
it's
right now.
It's crazy. We're so spoiled.
We are.
We're so spoiled.
It's not like we're waiting for something to be better because there's something wrong with what we have. And that's where digital was, right? Digital.
Right. It was this struggle. It was like, how do we get past this to the next? Okay, finally, I can shoot raw.
Right.
And finally, I can do this. And
oh
finally,
my gosh,
I can change lenses,
I'm limited to low light ability, or I don't have enough lenses, or whatever. You know, now it's really good. It's got a great EVF.
And I will mention,
it's responsive. It's fun.
Leica's product cycle these days is about 5 years.
It's getting longer
because it's getting harder to top. Like, you know, they got to make it really, really good. So we've got a couple of years left at least or more of the CL. And they're going to keep doing firmware updates. They're going to keep coming out with new accessories and who knows what else. So, yeah. Don't worry. Be happy. Next.
Keep shooting.
All right.
Please.
How would you compare, let's say, the Summilux 23 to a Leica Q?
It's a Summicron 23. It's an F2.
Well, that's a 35 equivalent. The Q is a 28 equivalent.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't compare them.
They're not
at all.
No.
Yeah. I would compare the 18, which I was talking about earlier, which was almost as good. So
yeah, I mean the 23. So when the first T came out, the silver one with the 16 megapixel, it came out with two lenses. It came out with the 18 to 56 zoom and the 23 f2 Summicron. And when it came out, I remember kind of like in that press kit, they were really touting the image quality of the 23 being on par with a like almost to the level of a 50 APO Summicron in the M line.
Yeah.
I was like, no, impossible. Yeah. That's no. Well, yes. I mean, it is a really good lens.
Yeah.
And if you're very comfortable as a 35 millimeter shooter, because we often hear, like last week, in the Q discussion, like why don't they make a Q with the compact, 35?
Right. You buy a CL with a 23.
You can get a CL with a 23, and that's might be what you're looking for, because that's going to give a lot of the similar experience, and it's really great optically, and it's really compact. It is tough to compare different formats with different lenses and equivalent focal lengths versus real focal lengths. I mean, we mentioned it earlier. Josh said, I mean, the 28 millimeter Summilux-17 on the Q is one of the best wide-angle lenses Leica's ever made.
The Q could be amazing, and is, but the CL with a 55 to 135 is a lot better telephoto camera than the Q is. So it's like, it's just about application and what you need.
Well, and as good as the Q is with its macro functionality, which really extends the flexibility of the 28, it's still not going to be a CL with a 60 1-to-1 macro.
Absolutely.
They're not
even close.
The same thing.
Not even close. So right tool for the right job. That's what it was. All right, what's next?
Spoiled with choices.
Yes, right.
All right.
Get both.
We got time for a few more questions. I guess this will just be a one-parter probably, so we'll go a little longer.
Yeah.
Why not?
I see a lot of people have actually joined us kind of midway through too.
Welcome. Thank you. And thanks for the people who are sticking it out. We're having fun.
All right. Next one is, can you do multiple exposures on the CL?
No.
No.
Next.
And I would, and someone asked me this during the week actually. They asked me specifically. No, you can't. In fact, I would say no, you can't on all the cameras.
Yeah.
Because why would you want to bake that into double exposures into one single file? I would so much rather take two pictures and then have the total power to composite them together in Photoshop, because that's why it's there. So I would utilize the technology we have rather than, in film, you couldn't really combine them easily. So having a double exposure capability in film made some sense. But I think in digital, Leica's recognized that it's kind of not a feature they need to focus on.
All right, that was good.
Yeah.
I like it. What's next?
I think this is going to be a Josh question.
All right, fire away.
All right. New CL versus used M240 versus used Q.
Interesting. So
not an easy one.
It depends on your preference. Image quality-wise, especially high ISO, the CL is better than the 240. I would say it's actually almost 2 stops better than the M-Type 240.
Now, are we talking about optics? Are we talking about sensor?
Right now, I'm talking about sensor right now.
Okay.
I'm talking about CL with a 35-1.4 CL lens against an M240 with a 50 APO, which I just did this morning. Tripod, all ISOs. I want to see, the M240 when it came out in 2012.
It was a huge step forward.
Huge. It was well regarded as a good low light camera at the time and still is. 6400 ISO on the M240, not usable. In my opinion.
It's a push.
Yeah.
It's not even a native.
Exactly.
Yeah.
6400 on the CL, easy. Easy.
I've used it at 6400.
Shocked.
That's pretty
I
good.
would say, no lie, 2-stop difference in terms of 2 stops better on the CL at high ISO than the M240.
That's crazy.
Dynamic range is similar. I would say the M240 has a slight edge, splitting hairs. The thing is, what do you get with the CL you don't get with the 240? Autofocus. What do you get with the 240 you don't get with the CL? It's a rangefinder. It's full frame.
Yeah, it's an M.
It's an M.
And you get access to all the native M glass and full frame.
Exactly. Here's what I would do. If I knew I wanted to be an M shooter, but maybe I didn't have the budget for an M10, I'd get a CL or a TL2, M-Adapter-L, and start building up some M lenses over time, because those things are timeless. And then when the M10 gets a little less expensive, or the next version comes out and then there's used M10s, whatever, get an M10. You've already got the lenses. Your CL is still useful as a backup body, or you start getting CL lenses and you've got a compact autofocus. You get an 18 and nothing else.
Well, I mean, you can get one for a $100 discount.
That's right. You get your 18 and you get a CL with the 18.
Leica will pay you $100 to get an 18.
Which is less than getting the CL by itself. And then you've got one autofocus lens, you're done. Yeah. Then you get an M adapter and you start building an M lens inventory. And then you can get any M camera you want, film, digital, M9, M8, M240, whatever. Versus a Q. The Q has a slight edge in low light. I would say about half a stop.
Because it's more like 8,000 ISO.
Yeah, I can do 8,000 on the Q. If you like that all-in-one performance and the 1.7 lens, the macro mode, the Q is really nice.
Well, because that's the thing. Yeah. You're not going to be able to get a as wide angle.
Right.
If you're going to go with a native 28 equivalent on here, you're getting a 2.8 lens rather than a 1.7.
Right.
So not only is the Q, and we're talking about the original Q.
Right.
The original Q is going to give you a 1.5 stop aperture advantage in addition to half a stop.
Yeah.
So roughly a 2-stop advantage for low light on the Q versus the CL with the 18.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable shooting at 50 and you get a 35-1.4, this now steps forward because it's a half stop faster exposure. So now you're cutting that delta down to 1 stop.
Close, yeah.
Really close. But then again, if you're a 50 shooter, you're probably not going to want the Q, and you would much more gravitate to this.
I think it's a tough choice to make. In my mind, I'm thinking CL and then the M240 and the used Q are kind of like
parity.
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty similar, yeah.
Because it's like an emotional decision too. Like, do I want to shoot M? Do I want that organic, mechanical, 100-year-old experience? Do I want something that's just take it out and go with a Q where there's no choice, there's no lenses? Or do I want the flexibility of the CL, which can take tons of different lenses and still
autofocus and M lenses, yeah.
I think the CL with the 18, and then you get the adapters, right? Let's say you don't want to build an inventory of CL lenses because your goal is to shoot M10 monochrome, an SL2, whatever. CL with an 18, M adapter, R adapter.
Right, and the reason for the 18 specifically, not just because it's
not just
because it basically comes for free, but also you'd have to go to some exotic M glass to get your wide angles.
Yeah.
So you would have to use an 18mm Super Elmar, or a Tri-Elmar, or a 21.
And those are slower aperture-wise.
And those are 3.8 or 4 aperture versus a
21-1.4.
I mean, that's
$9,000.
Right. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But when you get into your normal ranges, like if you use a 35 Summilux or a 35 Summicron, you're getting your 50 equivalent. And if you want to use a 50mm on here, M lens, you're getting like a 75.
Yeah.
So the longer focal length lenses tend to make more sense for M on CL, and then you have to get into your exotics on the wide side, or you could just get this.
Right, you get a limit of 23 and an 18, and then you get M lenses for everything else.
Yeah,
and you're golden. Okay, that was good. That was a good question. I like that because they're all around the same price point, so you have to think about that.
And I actually do want to show.
What are you showing?
I want to show a dynamic range example. Just give me 1 second to to find it.
Take your time.
Because this is something that blew my socks off. Again, you're looking at the CL as an APS-C sensor, as a compact camera, as this little
keep
thing.
Scrolling.
Yeah, I got to keep scrolling.
You got to find a picture.
All right, here it is.
All
here
right,
it is.
it?
Yep, I got it.
All right.
Okay, so now.
Oh, yeah, I love this shot. This is actually really cool. So, okay, I'll give you credit for this.
Well, I want to show this one first. Okay, so this one.
Can you maximize it? It's a max, so you can't.
Should I should zoom in and enhance?
Yes.
All right, now this one, I was in Santa Fe testing the camera.
This is the CL.
The CL.
Yes.
With the 11 to 23, actually, I believe. I think it is.
Yeah.
And I walked in there, and there's no tripod. This is a handheld, so I couldn't do an HDR sequence where, you know, I would take 3 shots bracketed. So instead, what I did here is I exposed for the highlights. I exposed only for the stained glass because I didn't want to lose that detail. And this was like I mean, again, no pun intended, but a Hail Mary because I wanted to kind of see maybe I could pull this up. I knew if I was shooting an SL or a Q, I could probably pull that up. But this is a small sensor camera. Like, I don't know. We're splitting hairs here, right? And does that not work?
It's a Mac. So,
it's a Mac. All right. So this is exactly the same image, the exact same DNG, except here I pushed the exposure in Lightroom, the shadows and the exposure, and I pulled down the highlights a bit, something like 3.5 stops. And you can see very clearly that I'm maintaining tons of detail in what was pretty much black in the shadows, and I'm not losing the highlight detail in the stained glass. I'm beyond surprised that I was able to do this, to get this small little camera that performs like this. And this is basically one of the things that convinced me that I could comfortably take the CL with me and do real photography with it rather than, you know, thinking it was just a toy, because it is not a toy.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I would check out, I put a link to my review where I have the sample in there, and, you know, go through. I've got tons of photographs there from New Mexico, and I've used the camera, I mean, tons since for a lot of my personal stuff, but these are, you know, real photographs.
Yeah.
So I would check that out.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, we got time for, I think, a couple more questions because we're doing okay. Jose, you got something good for us?
Yeah, this was pretty cool. So this is more of a general APS-C question.
Okay.
Why was the XU discontinued? And do you think Leica is going to create another underwater camera in the future?
I don't know why it was discontinued. I mean, they're not going to make anything forever.
Well, I kind of know the answer to this.
Oh,
ish.
okay.
It's not discontinued. It was always set up to be a limited production run.
All right, there you go.
Again, this is one of those products that I was like, they did what now? This is the world's first and only all-in-one larger sensor camera. You know, you have stuff like the Olympus Tough camera and things like that that are really small sensor size for these, like, take to the beach, take to the pool. Right. They're good to about, I think, 10 or 15 feet. This camera can go to 50 feet depth, and it is completely...
It's also shockproof as well.
Yeah,
you can drop it.
Yep, it's shockproof.
So
with
this is
elastopolymer.
This is an X113. So it's got the
same
everything. Sensor, the same everything, except it's housed, if you will, although it's not a removable housing, it's housed in this waterproof, shockproof, armored housing.
What's crazy is all the buttons, you know, both on over here as well as the direction pad. All these buttons are functional underwater. The shutter speed and aperture control dials are also, they turn, and they are also fully weather sealed to 50 feet.
So cool.
Not only that, you can even turn the manual focus ring, and that is fully sealed up to 50 feet. So there's no caveats here of saying you can use it, but you have to use it in autofocus only.
Right. And show them the front, the flash.
Yeah, and they relocated the flash so that instead of it being top mounted right here like a traditional X camera was, which is also pretty cool because I like this.
It pops out.
Yeah.
Boink.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, right? How cool is that? So they mounted it right to the front of the lens because, you know, if you're going to do macro functionality or take pictures of coral or fish, getting closer to your subject is good because light falls off so dramatically that it actually can make, almost a stop of difference just between here and here.
This is really cool. This is
a pretty cool camera.
You could do anything with this camera. You could drop it. This is actually good for you, I think, David. Because
there you go.
Please don't. That doesn't count. That was on purpose.
I was on purpose, but
So this is APS-C sensor, made in Germany, waterproof, shockproof, the XU.
And Kirsten, man, Kirsten always comes up when it comes to like
what is
travel,
going on?
adventure.
Where is she? Why is she not here?
So Kirsten did an amazing article on the XU, I think it was called A Camera for All My Adventures. And she took it like scuba diving or snorkeling. She took it to a car race. Oh, right. She ran one of these...
Tough Mudder things, right?
Yeah, Tough Mudder or Spartan thing, a half marathon, like through the mud, an obstacle course and all that. And Kirsten is the only person crazy enough, and I mean that with love, is that she did one of these brutal half marathon obstacle mud races, holding this in her hand the whole time, and stopping. Everyone else is stopping to like catch their breath and get water and not die, and she's there like, oh, that's a good shot. Boom, lie down on the ground. Oh wow, look at that. Someone's getting caught in barbed wire.
I think
so cool.
Yeah. So Julie's never allowed to ask us for this again.
No. Do we have to do this?
Yeah, I think so. Everybody wants to see the dog. Nobody wants to see us.
Here's what he's doing.
Oh, this is our lovely green carpet that we have in here from God knows when.
Oh, and I think there's a cable like hanging down.
Oh, there's Enzo. This is what he does all day when we're doing this live stream. He's under my feet right now.
I'm gonna move the. Oh, sorry,
you're disturbing
him.
Oh, there's the Enzo cam.
There he is.
His little face.
There he is.
Living the dream. Okay, that's enough Enzo, I think. There we go. All right, there. Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you not entertained? He's he's right there in front of our feet. So there. We got Enzo out of the way. I'm sure he'll come up and greet us before we're done. Let's do like 2 more questions if we get some good ones.
What do we got?
Yeah.
So why are there so many special edition CLs?
First of all, there's not so many. There's like 4. But I think when Leica comes out with a special edition, it's easy to forget the main purpose. The main purpose is because it's fun, right? Like, it's a camera, it's a tool, it has a purpose, and then you throw some crazy combination of colors or specs, and it's like, oh, this is fun.
See this?
So
this is a good one.
Right. Okay. So, this is the Paul Smith edition of the CL. This is my favorite of all the CL editions because it's the most fun.
Cool strap.
It's the most funky. They made 900, and that was it. Came with the 18mm 2.8. So this is as you get it right here. Show them the top. It's got the Paul Smith logo on the all. Yeah,
he has like little artwork that he did there. And
their first collaboration with him was the X2,
which is this one.
So show them that. This is the Paul Smith X2. They made, I think, 1,500 of these, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it says on the back?
Yes.
So that's the Paul Smith X2, and they revisited their collaboration with Paul Smith maybe last year. Yeah, last year with the CL edition of the Paul Smith. So you get to have something that is just as good as the regular version. It takes the same pictures, takes the same lens, the same accessories, except you'll never misplace it in a crowd.
It's pretty unique.
It's cool. Show them the bottom.
Yeah, well, look at the little, the buttons inside the dials are different colors.
Like, it's just fun.
It's got the cool little
not for everyone.
stripe
I
here.
get it. Okay, I get that. But that's why there's only 900. They made, I'm sure, tens of thousands of CLs and only 900 of these.
Right, and the rope strap is also with it, comes with it.
And it's numbered, and it's just something that comes in a cool packaging.
Little trivia.
Yep.
Who owns both of these cameras that I'm holding in my hand?
The person who's watching this is going to get mad at us.
Okay, so just a little trivia.
Well, this camera also, by the way.
Yes, also this one.
Obsessed with the weirdest things.
So this is the X113. Now this looks like a special edition because it's got this nice brown leatherette and it's silver and it's super sexy. This is actually production run.
Yeah.
113. This is how they came.
Cool,
this and then the black one. So they never had black leatherette
on the silver.
On the silver. They only had this brown, which was supposed to be kind of this vintage throwback.
Yeah.
Okay.
So put this back.
But I would say you can
we got it.
come back to us here, but yeah, all of those 3 cameras are actually owned by my wife. Because
thank you for letting us use them.
I don't think she knows about some of
she does now.
I raided her office. But yeah, she actually used these cameras. So for when the X2 was current, she used the Paul Smith as her main camera because she's like, oh, I love it. It's great.
You're out with it. It's like wearing a cool piece of clothing or a piece of jewelry or something fun, but just as functional.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like, this isn't locked in a box somewhere. She has this on a shelf in her office. So this actually she uses.
Yeah.
The X, she thought that was really cool and classy, you know, with the brown and the silver. And it was an upgrade over the X2 because it has the nice Summilux lens on there. And then when the new Paul Smith CL came out, she had also been playing around with my CL quite a lot because prior to this, she uses also uses the Q, the original Q. She doesn't have a Q2, she has an original Q, except it looks a whole lot worse than this one.
Yeah,
and
thanks to you.
Yeah, no. So I had the CL and she had the Q.
Okay.
And she's used this enough that she liked it. And when the Paul Smith came out, she's like, you can keep your black one. I'm going to get that. So
yeah, it's pretty nice.
It's pretty nice. And it's not like they're super expensive either. Like,
yeah, well, there's more of a difference now because they just lowered the price of the starter bundle, but you're also getting something in terms of slightly better value retention than the standard versions. And again, it's not for everyone, but just step back and remember that they are fun. Leica isn't coming out with it and saying you have to buy this. Like they're not forcing you to buy it.
Yeah,
it's fun. There's
like a weird pushback from the community when Leica comes out with a special edition. Like, oh no, Leica's coming. It's actually we get excited, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, I was playing around before the stream with the kind of drooling over the white edition M10.
Super cool, yeah.
And like that is like it's just oh my gosh, like you just have to look at it and appreciate it. And I think if you come at it from a point of, wow, this is actually pretty cool that they do stuff like this, and they like to have fun, and they don't take themselves so seriously.
Right, people may think of Leica as a super serious company, or like they're very strict and very, precise.
German engineers.
And then they do stuff like this. And they've done a lot of really wild special editions over the years, and when you go somewhere and you're wearing that camera, you're like, oh, you feel special. Because it is special, and it's a talking piece, and it's something fun. So
it is.
I think the CL is nice because you can get a special edition, and it's not $20,000.
No, it's usually only maybe a few hundred more than a stock edition.
So it's nice to have a good nexus of something unique and limited, but not something unattainable for someone
not unaffordable.
I mean, it's all relative. I get that, but
it's a very small premium.
Yes, yeah.
For CLs particularly, you know, some of the M series can be, especially if they're really limited, can be really expensive.
Or exotic materials, things like that. Yeah.
But this. You know, especially if they're making 900 or 1500, they're doing that because they think enough people want it, and because they can make that many, they don't have to charge as much as they would if they only made 50 of something.
Right, it'd be 10 times as expensive.
It would be so much money because all that custom tooling and all the work on that would be spread out over a much smaller.
So just have fun, people. Please
don't hate on the specials.
Don't hate on the special editions. Yeah. If you don't want it, don't buy it. I'm not going to force you to. I mean, I'm going to try.
Do you guys
gonna force you to.
Do you guys think they hold their value a little bit better?
Here's what I'll say.
A little bit more.
I'm gonna go on the record saying this. Leica special editions hold their value better than their standard production counterparts, but do not buy any product expecting it to go up in value. That's not the point. And these are fun. They're tools. They make you feel good. I think over the years, if you look at the past, certain special editions have done really well.
Some haven't.
A lot have not. Yeah. Some have done really poorly. It just depends. But that's not a selling point for me.
That's not the reason why.
And that's not the reason why you should buy it. You should buy it because it makes you feel good and you like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have just two more that we kind of went over earlier, but I think they're going to be good to end the show.
Okay.
So one of them is, if you just bought a CL, will you get the 18-56 or will you start with a prime?
Well, first you should buy the CL with the 18. Well, I guess it depends.
Depends. I mean, some people like the flexibility of a zoom.
Right.
And the first time I used the T was with the 18-56, and I was like, man, this is really good and pretty much covers everything. And I'm one that, look, my favorite lens for the SL is the 24-90. I'm a newly born zoom guy.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, my personal kit is the 18, and it's mounted here, but 35. A 35.
Yeah.
And when I know that I'll be either needing some telephoto or I know that I'm going to be doing macro work, I'll throw the 60 in as well. Yeah. So 18,
so all 35, primes for David.
60.
Personally.
And if I know I'm doing landscape, 11-23.
See, I'll bring the 18-56 because I do a lot of daytime stuff and I'm stopping down a lot. I shoot cars, so.
You don't care about wide open.
Right, I'm at f8 most of the time. I like the flexibility. I like the 1856 and the 23 because of the same filter size. Both have a 52mm filter.
Clever.
So I can use my polarizers. I can use anything.
How about the L Pro?
I could use the L Pro. L Pro is also 52 if I want to get real adventurous. So I think it depends on if you're looking for flexibility or size. The CL with the 18 is comically small for what it can do. And if that's your goal, is to have something small but mighty, get the bundle with the 18. It's a ridiculously good deal. If you want the flexibility of the zoom, if you want to just not have to worry about buying another lens for a while, if you know you're either stopping down more or you're doing more light, daylight type of work, get the zoom. I don't think you need both. I think if you have the 1856, you wouldn't get the 18 unless you wanted something that was really small. I would get the 35-1.4.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we're talking about the 18 is really cool. I think both of us would agree our favorite lens is the 35-1.4.
Yes, the 35-1.4 TL is amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing on the CL, the TL2, the SL, the S601. I have yet to be disappointed by it, ever. It's a 60mm filter thread size. It's easy to find filters for it. I don't use the hood. Keeps it smaller.
Beautiful.
So it's amazing.
Great bokeh, and it focuses down to 1/3 of a meter.
If you have a CL,
amazing,
and you want to get the best lens for it, get the 35-1.4.
Yeah.
There, I said it. Next.
A couple of people are asking if you guys have the CL Bauhaus.
I don't have it out. Table, no. I don't have it out. That was a pretty cool.
They have like textured leather.
Yeah, there's a lot of history behind the Bauhaus. So I think if you're interested in that and if you studied that
you can read about it. I actually have articles on Reddit forum about the Bauhaus edition.
We don't have any more room or anything.
But yeah, we don't have.
I didn't bring one with me, but
my wife doesn't own one. So
they made a silver one. They made a black one. The black one you can still get, and yeah, those are cool. They come with the cool leather and the Bauhaus branding on it. So
it's really cool.
It's a cool collaboration.
Well, especially considering how influential the Bauhaus movement of design was in Germany, and Leica being a German design company. And
there you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of commonality there.
Okay.
This is a good question. How do you compare the 35 Summilux-TL to the 50 Summilux-M?
35 is better. Sorry.
New design. No, for real. New design era. I'd say there's only one small weakness with the 35-1.4 TL, which is it does have a little bit of lateral chromatic aberration wide open. It's like a piece of cake to
one click in Lightroom.
Yeah, one click in Lightroom and it gets rid of it.
Yeah.
But it does have a little bit of that purple fringing. And that was just a sacrifice that they made on the lens design when balancing distortion and sharpness and bokeh and everything. It's just, they can't have everything perfect all the time. Otherwise, it would be huge and it would be thousands of dollars.
The 50 Luxospheric M has been out for 15 years. And it's a good lens. It's got a really nice rendering for portraits. But if we're talking sharpness and overall performance, I'm giving the edge to the 35-1.4 TL. I think that lens is insane. And if I had,
for sure,
I think I one or the other and I had a CL, I'd get the 35 because you're getting autofocus as well. And yes,
if you already have the 50 on the M, then yes, by all means, go ahead and use it. And it's cool. It's a 75-1.4.
Right, you should use it because it's awesome. It's not like it doesn't duplicate the 35-1.4 TL.
Because it's a 75.
On the CL, it's a 75, exactly.
And it's a really small 75.
So yeah, not to bash the 50-1.4 because that lens is great. But
it would actually be a slightly better 75 Summilux than the 75 Summilux.
Slightly, way better.
Yeah, way better.
Okay, good question. We'll just do like one more because it's getting late. So.
Josh, can you show us that small camera to your left there on the table?
Oh, this is... I brought that. I never talked about it. If you want to know where the name Leica CL came from, it came from the Leica CL, which was the camera that this is. Let me see if we can get the old close-up shot here. No more Enzo cam. Sorry, guys. This was a baby M camera. So it's an M mount camera. It's a rangefinder. It's just a heck of a lot smaller. It's a film. This is a film camera, obviously. So this was this camera has a bit of a cult following.
This was a Minolta collaboration, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, it was. So when Leica came out with the CL Digital, it was natural for them to look at their history and say, what is something that has that compact but still flexible kind of mindset
with an iconic design. That's MS. But not M.
Take me on. This is a 40mm Summicron.
That's a cult favorite right there.
Yeah, this thing is really cool. So this is the Leica CL. I'm glad someone noticed it because it gives me an excuse to talk about it. I brought this just because I did want to show
that
where
it came from somewhere.
There's nothing that really. The only thing in common is they're small and they have interchangeable lenses. That's about it. But
put it side to side with a current CL.
What? Oh yeah. Do we have one without the? Yeah, give me that. No, this one has a strap on it, so it's a little bit.
Gangly.
Yeah.
It's actually
a little shorter.
It's a little shorter because actually the CL, they modeled the dimensions on the Leica 1, which is the first screw mount, Leica that they came out with production-wise in 1924.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Something different. Thank you for putting that out because I did bring. I dragged it out all the way over here. Now I'm breaking it.
Give me that back.
There you go. Nice. That is really cool. Where'd it go? Okay, got it. All right. So I think you want.
Are there any other pressing questions that have come in?
Yeah.
That we
Anything that we really need to answer?
Because it is getting late, but
I know we do want to.
Strangely, more people have joined us even than
would you
watching.
Even consider the S-mount 120 micro with the CL?
Won't work.
No, it doesn't work.
The S-Adapter-L, which we talked about in the SL video, does not work on the CL. I don't think there's enough power to drive that.
Right. So it's battery driven. If you look at the battery that's in the S camera and the
Way
SL,
bigger,
they're huge. They're double the size in terms of the voltage and amperage or whatever that it supplies. The CL battery is just too small to drive that AF.
Yeah. So that is one thing that works on the SL that won't work on the CL. Sorry.
There's something that Bev commented. Hey, Bev. She says that the rubber lens cap for the Q and the Q2 fits the CL35 and 55 to 135 lens.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I've seen that. It does work.
Yeah.
I don't have one with me, but there you go. Did we got
good,
that?
That is good information to
good
have.
Information. Thank you, Bev. Sweet. Anything else?
Is that the Bev, by the way?
Yes, it is. I've seen her do it in the store, so I know.
Hey, Bev.
Hi, Bev.
Is that the 40mm Summicron from the old CL compatible with the new CL?
Sure. If you take
Yeah, to use the adapter.
take the M-Adapter-L, pop it on. I've never actually done this with this lens, so this is exciting. And we got the CL.
This is a world's first, but not really.
Well, we're first for me.
Actually, I think Lewis did this.
Did he?
Yeah, because Lewis uses a 40 Summicron.
So here we go. This is the 40 Summicron on the CL.
So a CL lens. It's actually, isn't it a 40 Summicron-C?
Yeah, it's an M mount, but they call it a C lens because it is cammed for the
CL. Yes.
CL.
Yep. Look at that, a CL lens on the CL.
It does work.
It works great. Hey, that's your face.
Focus it. Let's see. I can't get it far away enough. But yes, it does work. It actually looks pretty cool.
Because I think
there's a rubber hood on it.
Is minimum distance 0.7 or 1 meter?
I think it's 0.8 meters, yeah.
Yeah, 0.8.
So yeah, with the M-Adapter-L, this totally works. So you could actually kind of blend the old and the new with that. So very nice. Good question.
I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat.
It's cool.
All right. Anything else? Pressing, exciting, interesting? We're loving it.
It's pretty good for today.
Okay.
All right. So I encourage everyone, before we go, please, 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 scroll down to the description. I have links to lots of resources in terms of articles and videos that we've done on the CL, and I guess I haven't linked to everything that we've talked about here because if you want to look at reviews of the original X camera or the X2,
you can find them.
You can find it on Reddit forum. Just search, and I mean we have reviews going back on all this stuff, and but a lot of content on the CL. Highly recommend you check out the review there, and download the presets. Especially if you want your CL files to look like your SL files. My preset kind of does that.
There we go.
And yeah, it's pretty good. So if you want to see more videos from us, be sure to subscribe to Red Dot Forum YouTube channel and click that notification bell so you know that when we go live and stuff like this, or if we post new regular content. And check the website for regular news and other things.
Yep. We appreciate it.
We get a link to the newsletter. Please sign up to the newsletter as well. And don't be afraid of the thumbs up button. We like it.
And comment, questions, follow up. Did I mess something up? Tell me. I want to know. Like seriously, the engagement that we get from these videos
has been so great.
It's been great, and it makes us do a better job next time. And make sure that we know the kind of questions people want the answers to, what kind of goodies I got to bring with me when we do these videos. And we're gonna keep doing this. So we'll certainly be able to revisit topics as time goes by if there's interest. So keep the questions coming. Email us, comment on the video, call us. Yeah, we're having a good time.
This is great. So listen, I want to thank Josh for taking time out of his busy Saturday night.
Oh yeah, real busy.
Cutting into Netflix time.
Right.
Sitting there on the couch with Enzo. Thank you, Jose, for doing our production work here and feeding us questions. Also, a shout out to Kirsten, who's been checking out the moderation in the comment section, so answering some of your questions there.
And Julie for letting us borrow all of her toys.
And my wife, Julie, for letting her borrow some of her camera collection there.
We're taking good care of it.
Remember, the couple that photographs together stays together. And so, and thank you to all of you, because without you guys watching, certainly wouldn't be possible for us to keep doing this.
Yep.
And makes it fun for us to know that people are having a good time and actually interested in our complete nerd out on all this camera gear. So thank you so much. And tune in next week. We've got a great episode of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk coming up probably next Saturday.
I would imagine.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
It's always the fun part. We're gonna call it a day.